it or not, there is a moment meant for us. And now you made it, but I already played this. Not interested, open your eyes, let's get it done. Take my hand, just follow me. Shadow and me are one.
Hey, this is Jason and Sherman, and we are at the USA Taekwondo Summer of Poomsae, episode 2. That's 2 in French. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Sherman. I love your background. I love your tank top there, and I'm sporting my Summer of Poomsae t-shirt as well. So I want everyone to see that. Beautiful backgrounds we have as we are enjoying the process of competitors competing at the highest level for a spot. As a champion of the Summer of Poomsae, what else are they going to receive, Sherman? They're going to receive ranking points to their ranking system, and they're adding to their total for the pathways to make their national team. So an important competition here created by USA Taekwondo.
And they get a t-shirt. That's what I heard. They get a t-shirt. So.
Well, they're going to love it because I love it. I wear it all the time.
I do. I love it. I love it. I have the guns out because of what?
Because, I don't know. Because the sun's in.
So moving on, there is a feature that is coming back to our broadcast, Jason.
I did not know this. Tell me about it, Sherman.
It's the dad joke.
And in no way is that exciting. Okay, let's have it.
It's a thing, man. It's happening, man. So here we go. What do you call a doctor that is half man and half horse?
Oh, I do not have a clue. What do you call a doctor who's half man, half horse?
A centaur for disease control.
Oh.
Ooh, that's comedy gold, baby.
Trying to laugh,
baby. That's comedy gold, man. I don't care what you say. That is world-class joke. World-class joke. All right, so Jason, this episode we have the Cadet Female Black Belts, and there are just as many of them as there were the Cadet Males.
No, you're right, Sherman. Tons of competitors looking for a spot in the semifinals. So what we're going to do now, let's do this. Let's send it out to our commentators as we give you the prelims of the Female Cadet Black Belt competitors at the Summer of Poomsae. We're presented by USA Taekwondo.
USA Taekwondo. Good luck, competitors.
Good luck.
Hi, everyone. This is National Coach and 2020 National Poomsae team member Barbara Brand, along with commentator extraordinaire Miyako Yerick. And we get this wonderful opportunity today to watch our episode number 2 with Summer of Poomsae Cadet Division, Cadet Female Divisions, 12 to 14-year-old athletes. How you doing, Miyako?
I am doing great, Coach Brand. I am here ready to watch these female cadets this time. Last episode we had the male cadets. This episode we have 65 cadet females. So I am ready. Make sure you guys have a snack ready. We're going to be here the whole episode.
When you said you're ready here, where are you commentating from today? Are you really, really far away from Sacramento, where I am?
Yeah, so I'm on the East Coast, all the way on the coast in Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C.
Holy cow, that's really, really far away. But the magic of production here, through the magical wizardry of USAT's Jose Villalpando and Alyssa Allen, were able to come together for this really exciting event today. So first up was Mia Gloria, our first cadet competitor. She's from Champions Taekwondo in New York. and her coach is Master Hyun Suk Lee. Starts off with a score of 5.47. We're going to be seeing a lot of Kumgang today. How do you feel about that, Miyako?
You know, I think there's always more we can learn about Kumgang. So being able to watch a lot of athletes do it, see their approaches, that will let us be able to see different styles and maybe apply some of those things into our own Poomsae.
Yeah, it couldn't be any easier to be a student of Poomsae than it is right now at the Summer of Poomsae with all of these athletes right here in the comfort of our own home. So Mia is working her way through Taeguk Poljung here, hoping for a really high score. She's certainly got a nice high front kick on those boomsogi front kicks going to the sides in Taeguk Poljung.
Right, and Mia has competed at the AAU National Championships in Poomsae, where she has medaled both in 2018 and 2020, and she enjoys reading, playing violin, and the clarinet.
Wow, so multi-talented. So Mia Gloria, for her second Poomsae, Taeguk Poljung, she receives a higher score this time. Excellent, 6.23. And then her combined score for the two Poomsae is coming in at 5.85.
And similar to the male cadet division, we have 65 athletes here. So the top 33 scores will be those athletes advancing to the semifinals.
So this is Rachel Erickson. She's from World Taekwondo Academy, and her coach is Master Patrick Hawk. So Kumgang here is a little bit of a quagmire here, right, Miyako? There are many, many pieces to this Poomsae that an athlete has to be not only aware of, but really, really well versed in.
Right, you have to be really stable, so having good core muscles so that you can hold those 8-count crane stances without putting your foot down, without falling over, without any wiggles on your bottom knee. So that's a major part that's probably the most visible. If you're just watching Kumgang without much experience, that's what you'll see are those wiggles and the foot coming down. But there's so many other parts to this too, with the transitions and the stomps and making sure you don't have any pre-steps, having really smooth spins and landing your weight really centered in the horse stance coming out. So lots of things to always work on in Kumgang.
Good job for this young athlete, Rachel Erickson from World Taekwondo Academy, starting off with a 5.17. And this is probably what most athletes think of as the tougher Poomsae of the two that they're doing in this round. So I know that she's hoping for a higher score, just like Mia Gloria did when she finishes up with Poljung.
And it's nice that Kumgang is the first form, so if you really mess it up in your recording, you could just stop and then start over. But if Kumgang was a second form, you'd have to have a good run the first time again. So at least that way, hopefully they didn't get too tired if they did multiple runs.
So camera angle comes into play. So this angle here is a little bit lower than many of our athletes have had. So we probably want to shoot for just a little bit higher up. Rachel, the next time you are in an event, just pick something at about the height that a judge would be when they're viewing your Poomsae. Especially with Kumgang, might look just a little bit more stable, a little bit more solid with that different camera angle. And she too gets a higher score in Taeguk Poljung. It's a shorter form, less problems for most athletes. She ends up with a total score of 5.68.
So just a couple tenths there behind Mia, but both girls so far showing really great flexibility on those front kicks. I think in this cadet female division, we're going to see some really great kicks in that second form. And our third athlete here is Yuri Paige Kim.
Yuri Paige is on the Dewangale team, and her coach is Master Sengjali. This is an excellent space for Kumgang here, nice and wide open, nothing that she has to navigate around or get distracted by. So everybody in this position, this is a Hakdari Sogi, or also known as a crane stance. And those people are trying to just make sure that the amount of movement in that support knee is as little as possible. And if it does tend to wobble just a hair, we try to catch it there, maybe make it just one wobble or a half wobble, or just try to make it save, because 8 seconds is a long time. And we just want to make sure that we can look as stable as possible for the whole 8 seconds. That was a great score, 7.03 for Yuri Page Kim's Kumgang.
준비.
And just a reminder for our cadets here, if you're somewhat new to Poomsae and you want to learn more about Kumgang, we had some really great athletes in the Senior 1 division and Senior 2 division, I believe, doing Kumgang. So go ahead and go back, take a look at them, see how they approach it. I think you'll learn a lot from some of those older athletes in their Kumgangs.
I remember that was a Senior 1, 18 to 30 female division, had a lot of really good Kumgang action there. So that might be one to check out.
Right, if you want a great reaction of Coach Brand falling off her chair when Karen Rial scored an 8 in Kumgang, go back and find that episode.
I'm still excited about it, and I'm on the edge of my chair here waiting for the next 8 to come up. Boy, Yuri Page Kim has a really solid performance here, and take it Paul Jong, really high front kicks and well balanced as well.
Yeah, she's definitely going to be at the top of the rankings, and she's only 3rd to go so far, but a 7.4 here on her second form, so a nice 4.0 increase from the first to second form, really showing great flexibility and contrast. So her total score will be a 7.22.
And she's right before our team member here, Juliana Candelaria. So this is kind of exciting here to see them back to back and see what the scores come in. So Juliana Candelaria is with Apex Tigers Martial Art, and she is coached by Master Guido Kwong.
Nice living room space here. We can see the fireplace and a nice family photo at the beach up there. But they hung the flag there in the background, and the whole wall, the mats, everything's red.
It's fun to see all these home conversions, and thanks to all the parents who are supporting their children in this cadet division, because I know that it's a lot to walk around and try to figure out how you're going to hop over the couch to get to the kitchen sink sometimes. We even see some mats there in the background, maybe standing upright in the hallway to make sure that the referees get a clear view and unobstructed and undistracted view of the athlete. So thanks to all the parents who did a bit of remodeling here in the cadet division.
Absolutely, and Juliana looking really strong, really clean. Some things I'm noticing that separate her and Yuri from the first couple athletes is just how clean their body motion is when they stop their motions. So there's no extra shifting of the weight. Those knees are really steady. They're open on the core stances. So really nice performance here. I'm excited to see how her score compares to Yuri.
Wow, 7.5 for Juliana Candelaria with her Kumgang score coming in so high. Really nice to see. I really liked her speed and her control of the speed, knowing what to do at one speed and then when to speed up for the punching section. So she finished everything really nicely and knew when to speed up and then when to stop fast.
Right, and a really nice opening bar to Paul Chong as well. Good kicks, good speed, and attention to detail so far. Again, on these 8 counts, you want to make sure that you're turning your hips as well as your shoulders, and I am seeing that nice hip turn without the front knee collapsing in. So really nice so far. Showing no difficulty in this difficult front kick bar. She's basically kicking herself in the face. That's a lot of skill and muscle there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how she clears her nose with her kneecap, but it looked like it went okay there. And I have to say, her training space looks really great. It's really well lit, frames her just nice in order to highlight everything. So she's picked the right distance from the camera, the right backdrop. Everything just looks like it adds to the flavor of her Poomsae. And she comes even higher with the second score, 7.60. So it looks like she'll end up with a score of 7.55 here. And easy into first place with a little gap between her and Yuri Page Kim, who's just behind her at 7.22.
Right, and that gap will be important because, again, we have 65 athletes here in this division today. So creating some space early on will be important. Like we saw in the last episode, there are a lot of scores that will get in that middle area. So creating some space early on, really great. Good job to Juliana Candelaria.
This is Melinda McKenzie from Connecticut. She's from CT Chungdokwan, and her coach is Grandmaster David Turgeon. So she has plenty of great role modeling at this club. With Master Turgeon being one of our national coaches, she has plenty of information right there ready for her whenever she's ready to go from one step to the next. Also, she has really great role modeling in teammate Erica Linthorst, also a member of this CT Chungdokwan team.
Hello.
Absolutely, and it does look like Melinda's a taller athlete for this division. So I think if she sits just a little bit lower in some of those stances, really important in Kumgang, it'll just immediately come across a lot stronger. So we did take some hits on accuracy from Judge 1 and Judge 2 here. So her overall score will be a 2.8.
Yep, so as she goes through Paul Jung, I just see a lot of opportunity for her, a lot of potential to learn more and more through Poomsae, and maybe watching this episode here, watching all the competitors and seeing what she can learn from them, and then maybe have some opportunities to chat with her coach and strategize for future events. This is just the beginning here for Melinda McKenzie.
And I think Melinda said that she just earned her first Poom. So this is her first online tournament, just aging or getting into this division. So really great job coming out and competing, submitting these videos. And I hope that you learn a lot through the whole summer of Poomsae.
And hopefully doing it this way is just a nice introduction, right? Being able to do it in a comfortable arena that you're used to training in. So she receives a 3.47 for her second Poomsae, higher than the first one. So she'll end up at the score of 3.13. And more importantly, a wonderful opportunity for her to start into the competition with this event, Summer of Poomsae. So there we have our standings with Juliana Candelaria in first place and Yuri Page Kim and Mia Gloria in second and third, followed by Rachel Erickson and Melinda McKenzie.
Here we are, USA Taekwondo Summer of Poomsae. Jason Poos with who? Eileen Jung, Cadet Female Black Belt Poomsae competitor. Eileen, thank you so much for joining us here on the Summer of Poomsae virtual competition.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. So let's kind of jump right in. So you've been competing now here at the USA Taekwondo Summer of Poomsae. It's a virtual tournament, completely different than a big competition where you have a crowd noise and you have your coach, you have one shot at it. How's it gone for you and how do you feel about it?
Well, it was my first time as a black belt cadet this year, so it was pretty new for me. But
Sure.
I could say that recording it virtually is different from going to the actual tournament because the atmosphere has a really big impact on you when you're competing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of gets you in the zone, I guess you could say.
Right.
And it took more takes than I thought it would, especially since a lot of my teammates were recording. They're with me as well. And it almost felt like we were holding our breath while we were recording each other. So it was a unique experience.
Yeah, it sounds very unique. And, it's been a common theme when I've talked to other athletes is that it took more times than they thought. It took more repetitions than the athlete thought. And really that's to your perfectionism and you guys wanted to get it just perfect for your competition. So I totally get that. So, let's switch gears for just a second. So we know that you have other talents and you do other things outside of Taekwondo and you have the unique talent of playing an instrument. Can you tell us that?
So I play the oboe, and I've been playing since 4th grade, so that's, I think, 5 years now.
Yeah, 5 years playing the oboe. I mean, I'd love for you to bring out your oboe and play that at competition. That would be great for us. We could get Coach Nelson to try to play an instrument because he possibly might be able to play one. I doubt it, but he might. So what is the toughest song you've had to play in public on your oboe?
Well, so my mom plays the piano, and I tried to do a duet with her with a song called Libertango, and it was probably a lot harder than a lot of the other songs I've done, and it was especially harder since it was actually in public instead of during a school concert.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Now, a duet with your mother anytime is going to be difficult, let alone she's playing the piano and you're playing the oboe. But Eileen, I want to say first, thank you so much for spending time with us here on the USA Taekwondo Summer of Poomsae. And I want to tell you again, good luck in these up-and-coming competitions. And I look forward to seeing you play the oboe at one of our events as well.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me.
You have a great day. Thank you.
You too, sir. Thank you.
준비!
And just a reminder, we will see those rankings every 6 athletes. So when we get to 6 more and that comes up, go ahead and pause the screen, take a picture so that you can track where your athlete is in those standings, because we do have 65 athletes in this episode.
So this is Aileen Jung, and I apologize if I didn't pronounce that right, and if it happens to be Eileen Jung. She's from Tiger Martial Arts, and her coach is Master Bo Young Kim.
Eileen has just recently gotten her Poom belt as well. She was a red belt at the 2019 national championship. So also just coming into this division, but she was a national champion as a red belt in 2019. So I believe that's true. Yep. And so I think that she has a lot of experience coming here into this black belt division now. Cadets, a huge division, but so far showing some really good basics in her kumgong.
Yes, her club is in Illinois. We haven't had a huge number of athletes from that state, so it's really fun to see everybody coming out from different parts of the country. And her first score, pretty high, 6.83. That's a nice solid score for kumgong.
And a fun fact about Eileen is that she plays the oboe, which is not an instrument you hear of every day. So that's really cool. And she also enjoys swimming and soccer and playing with her younger brother.
And she looks like she's really enjoying this performance. She's very steady. She has nice position across the board here. She doesn't have a lot of ups and down type of movement. Just nice and even as she's moving through the form.
We've mentioned this a few times, but being able to see the front kicks over your head when you're heading to the back. So from our point of view, getting to see that just means you have really great technique, really flexible. And so we just saw that from Eileen here. I think really nice performance, and I'm excited to see her score here.
And she too gets a higher score in her second Poomsae, 6.9 for Eileen Jung with Taego Paul Jung, and then receives a combined score of 6.87. So I think that moves her into 3rd place.
준비? Yep. And of course, division to division will not be the same. We have different judges, totally different athletes, but when we watched the male cadets in the last episode, the 33rd cutoff was around a 6.7 or so. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're watching. Again, we're only 6 athletes in so far, and we will get to see those rankings every 6 athletes. But just kind of keep that in mind as a range. Our athlete here that we're currently watching is Kalea Aiko Alano.
And Kalea is from Yao Taekwondo, and she's coached by Ricky Yao. This is a nice training space. Looks like it's a converted garage training space. And they kind of decked it out really nice for the event. Thanks for doing that. It makes it really look very, very clean and sharp when you take that time and energy and put it towards these details. We all can't get to our club. Here, Kalea is from California, where there's not much indoor activity going on at all in terms of clubs. So it's nice that she had this opportunity to create this space for herself.
Right, and she was on the 2019 and 2020 AAU National Poomsae team and was an alternate on the 2020 national team for Denmark. So high-level athlete here, definitely is probably one of those athletes that's, you know, continuing to train even during quarantine, and a score of 7 on her Kumgang. So coming through nicely, that does put her up in the top 3 for now, and let's see if she can continue and get a higher score on this Paldong.
Nice high front kick. And you were mentioning the front kick going to the rear. It's very difficult for us to see from this angle and for the referees too. So if she can get that over her head on her way back, that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing. She can do that. It really makes her form kind of punch. If it's lower than the head, we can't really tell where it is. Is it at the stomach? Is it at the chest? Is it at the neck? It's hard for us to know. So looking for that foot to go over her head on the way back here.
And from the front, you know, it's really obvious. She's kicking way above her head. But when you're going to the back and you're doing the jump, there's just a lot of motion. So it is harder. But on the left foot, I saw her whole foot, and on the right, about half of the foot. So really nice extension, especially on that jump. And good control here from Kalea.
So Kalea Lano receives a score of 7.3 for her second Poomsae, and she should definitely be here in second place maybe. So ends up third place, 7.15, just behind Juliana Candelaria and Yuri Page Kim.
경례 준비
This is Alana Heinrichs from AKYI Martial Arts, and her coach is Master Ray Key.
And Alana has a lot of competition experience. She's 13 years old this year, but she's the current AAU national team member. She competed in the Florida Open International Online Poomsae Championships, multiple actually international virtual tournaments already this year. So she's been all over the world just in the past few months competing in these tournaments. And that really coming through, I think the confidence and the stability in some of these first moves of Kumgang so far look really good. Maybe a little bit open on that mountain block. It went just behind her. You want to make sure that that stays in line with your body. Some of these kids are just so flexible. They don't know where to stop their arm motions.
Just a little bit of a tilt on this last Haktari Sogi, but good save. And now just finishing up that last piece of it. She has really nice stops and really nice horse stances.
Sure.
So she looked pretty darn solid throughout that. That's Alana Heinrichs, and she receives a score of 7.37. That looked just about right in this division.
준비
So we're starting off with some pretty high scores here, Miyako. In the first 10 competitors, we've gotten quite a few of 7+ scores.
Yeah, you know, I might be slightly biased here, but I always think the female divisions are harder than the male divisions. And we're already opening up with some really high scores from these cadet females.
Well, both divisions had 65 athletes, and there are probably plenty of male cadets that might argue the point, thinking that their division is super tough as well. But boy, there are a lot of talented athletes in both.
And that really just makes our country stronger as a whole, where we have a pipeline of athletes. You know, it's not just one good athlete in each age division, but we have numerous athletes who could fill in the spot to represent the U.S. at any number of tournaments. So I think it really pushes our whole country to be better. And then it means that we represent our country at the highest ability that we can when we do get that opportunity to compete on an international stage.
Well, 65 competitors in both the cadet male and female divisions, our talent is very, very deep, for sure. And Alana Heinrichs ends up with a 7.33, pretty close to her first score of 7.37. So she'll end up with a combined score of 7.35 for the two. And that'll move her up into the top 4 competitors.
Yep, I think that puts her in second place for now.
Yeah, number 2. This is Brianna Kalin, and she's from New York. Her club is Team Champions, and her coach is Master Bogdan Kalin.
Brianna's from Brooklyn, and she won 3rd place for Poomsae at the AAU Nationals in 2019. So some other experience. It's nice to see some of our athletes doing, you know, both USAT, AAU gives you more experience, but here we are at the Summer of Poomsae hosted by USA Taekwondo. And I think that this is such a great opportunity to allow our athletes to have this experience during quarantine.
And it's also fun when our teammates join in the competition as well. I believe we saw this training space yesterday in the male cadet division. So it looks like she might have a few friends that are joining her in the competition. It makes it super exciting.
Absolutely, and it looks like her coach is Master Bogdan Kalin, so it might be her dad who is her coach, and that's always, well, might be a little bit difficult at times, but I think it's nice to make it a family affair.
Yep.
For sure. So Brianna's first score comes in at 5.2 for Kumgang. And as we mentioned, there are plenty of great Kumgangs in the 18 to 30 female division. So if your score isn't quite what you'd like it to be, then you can always use all the other episodes as your learning tools. And study. We've really never had this kind of library, this resource at our fingertips. So I'm hoping that everybody takes advantage of it, watching the videos over and over again to find out how they can move forward and do better at the next competition.
Absolutely. And Brianna's showing really great length on her front stances. She is one of the taller athletes that I've seen so far, I think. And those front stances really locked in and deep, so that was nice. We are seeing some caving on the front kicks here as she goes for the height. Want to make sure that you lock out that bottom leg as much as possible. And Brianna and I are currently rocking the same hairstyle, so I like your hair, Brianna.
Me too. In my imagination. Okay, that was Brianna Kalin finishing up with Tega Palja. And her score is 6.07, so higher than Kumgang. I think in Kumgang she might have gotten dinged a little bit. She was looking off to the side instead of straight forward on one of the movements there. So she ends up with 5.63.
And I have a notebook here. I am taking notes. I'm writing down scores so that we can let you know where you are in these rankings as we go through. This is Ava Barr, and she is the 10th athlete in this division so far.
Yeah, I'm guessing the athletes will be pretty safe with a score of over 7 or thereabouts, just like the male cadet division yesterday. I think it was 6.7. Am I right? That was the cutoff there.
That was for the males, yeah. But we are seeing more
exactly
7.
the same, but it might be similar.
Right. I think if you're scoring a 7, that means you're doing pretty darn good, and it should be close to making the semis. Like we said, there are some higher scores already so far in this division. So keep checking in, make sure that you're in the top 33, because top 33 will move on to semis.
Well, we're used to seeing parents in the stands taking pictures of the scoreboard over and over again to make sure that their child is, off to the semifinal round. But in this case, we have it just right here for you. All you need to do is pause on the standings when they come up. And that's going to happen about every 6 athletes. You'll be able to see that scoreboard and check where your favorite athlete is lined up. So for Ava Barr, that was a 6.1 on her first Poomsae Kumgang. Well, most athletes here probably have a sigh of relief after getting through Kumgang and can really hit Poljung hard.
I think Poljung is another comfort form. Well, I say that for the older divisions. Maybe these cadets enjoy doing side kicks, but I think Poljung is a comfortable form. It has some difficult areas, but it has a really interesting tempo, areas for you to make connections.
Actually, this is a kind of a tough draw for these cadet females. Oftentimes they do like to throw those high side kicks. And so with these first two forms, there aren't any. So going from Kumgang to Poljung may be a little bit of a challenge for them when they want to highlight those high kicking techniques.
That was Ava Barr. And she gets a 6.67 on her second form, which gives her a 6.38 total score. 2 more athletes, and then we should show those rankings again.
시작.
This is Michaela Zhang from California. Her club is Team Elite, and her coach is Master Victor Zhang.
And Michaela is a member of the 2020 U.S. national team for cadet pairs. And got second place for cadet individual. So another really high level athlete here.
And she's been really smart in getting herself some experience before this event. So this isn't her first online competition. She's done some others as well and did very, very well in those competitions. So she set herself up really nice for this, kind of understands the format now.
Hello. Cadet. 시작.
And for her first Poomsae, a really great score, 7.43.
차례 준비. 시작.
She seems to have a really calm and settled expression. The approach just seems very confident.
She's also a very active young lady. She does volleyball. She likes to jog and exercise. She spends time with her little sister, Lemony, and enjoys traveling and cooking. So it's nice to get to know you a little bit, Michaela.
Cooking. I wonder if she's making a lot of spaghetti because her legs look like they are just going up. Like, very strong, but nice and easy, like a noodle, just going way up there. Very, very flexible. I expect a really high score for this because every single one of those kicks was like dead on. 7.6. Wow, that's a fantastic score and the highest so far for Poljung, I think.
I think that might match Juliana's Poljung score, but Juliana's was just slightly higher in Kumgang, so Michaela takes a 7.52 which puts her into second place by just 3/100ths of a point. Here we go with those rankings. Take a picture, and we will come back in another 6 athletes.
Right, so we have Juliana Candelari in first, Michaela Zhang in second, and Alana Yerick in third place. Yuri Page Kim following close behind in fourth. This is Christine Chow, and she is from New Jersey, Apex Tigers Team ATMA, and her instructor is Master Gita Gunn. So we have seen many of her teammates in the competition so far. 2 of the cadet males were competing yesterday. And then we've also had some adults kind of across the board. Really great to see so many of her teammates on board for this competition.
Absolutely. And if you're watching the YouTube live stream, go ahead and comment, cheer on your teammates. I know when I'm competing, you really like having your teammates there cheering you on. So in this virtual setting, go ahead and comment down there, cheer everybody on. They're doing a great job. And this is Team ATMA, another popular group. We have seen a lot of athletes coming through, like Coach Brian mentioned, but not just cadets and juniors. We had some masters athletes, I believe, as well from Team ATMA. So really nice, full range of athletes. Just a little bit of a weight shift there. She didn't quite stop herself, her momentum on the last spin, but overall a nice form.
Well, she's surrounded by really strong athletes at that club, so I'm sure she will continue to develop. Her first score for Kumgang is 6.2. And again, this is Christy from Apex Tigers Team ATMA. Maybe a little bit higher on that punch. Needs to target the philtrum, but to the solar plexus. So she has these right on. And looking for this high kick to the rear, followed by another. Both of them are pretty high. She sacrificed a little bit of balance, but she did get those kicks up there.
Yeah, we noticed in the front stance when she came down, her legs were crossed a little bit. So we might take an accuracy hit on that front stance.
And she receives a 6.57 for Paljung. And her combined score for both Kumgang and Paljung is 6.38. Same score as Ava Barr.
And here we have Maggie Miyako Shiba. She is from Shiba Taekwondo in Utah, coached by Master Shiba and Master Salzburg and Master Sparring, Pace Sparring. And Maggie competes in both sparring and Poomsae, and her mom submitted some info about her, said that at the US Open in 2020, she got a bronze medal, but she had dislocated her shoulder in the first fight, went into medical, spent some time there. I love medical, shout out to our medical team. She kept fighting through the whole division and ended up with a bronze medal. So her mom was really proud of her. Maggie, we're all really proud of you. Doing a good Kumgang so far here, and a nice, well-rounded athlete, like we said, sparring and Poomsae.
Really pushing quite strong through these Haktari Sogi pieces here. Really holding on very nice. She has pretty good height on the Haktari, which really helps her balance. You just don't want to go up and down on that little turn there, because that can cause us to tip over just a little bit or get a case of the wobbles. She's doing a really good job on this. Her knee is nice and high. She ends up strong.
And her bun there was just slightly off to the side. She gets a 6.7 on Kumgang. It's a pretty decent score there. I know when I compete in Kumgang, I have to make sure my bun is really centered, because if I'm trying to do those spins and my bun is off to the side, my hair is really long, it'll throw my weight off. So having a good centered bun is very important for Kumgang that I don't think coaches talk about enough.
Well, I'm glad you shared that. I would have never known that about buns. And I don't really know if it matters if it's on top, like Maggie is wearing it, or if it's in the back, or is there a preference for athletes with long hair? Is it just something that you go by how it looks?
I think it's just how it feels. I know when my hair is really long, sometimes putting it on the top of your head doesn't make it feel so heavy. If it's in the back, it can really move around and drag your head with it. But Maggie does not seem to have that problem. She's doing a great job finishing out Paljong nice and strong.
Yes, that looked very good. She has a lot of potential. I see her body type seems to be just, right at the right development level for her age. So it looks like she's easily able to balance from one step to the next. 6.87 for Paljong, and for a total score of 6.78. So a nice, strong score for Maggie Miyako Shiba. And within the top maybe 6 athletes there.
준비.
This is Aaron Laylor.
시작.
And Aaron is from North Carolina. Good to see athletes from North Carolina. We also saw, I believe, a cadet male yesterday from the same area. She's from Tiger Kim's World Class Taekwondo, and her coach is Master Hang Dong Yoon. Look at that knee position. Wow. She's really trying to push that up for that horizontal position. So a little bit of an error looking off to the side from that first step to the left.
You want to make sure your hands are parallel, fully in line with your body on that mountain block before you do the pickup here.
I can't wait to see her kicks. Her legs are so nice and long. Looks like she's probably been growing maybe a few inches even this week.
Yeah, and she's doing a lot. Like we mentioned, her legs are really long, which means you have to bend them a lot to sit into those stances. And she's doing some hard work there, and this is one of the highest crane stances that I've seen. She's having a little bit of trouble controlling her balance, but some really great elements in there once she gets control.
Well, it's tough, right? She's about 90% legs right now.
Yeah.
And so it's really tough to try to balance that, but just wait a couple years. It's really going to pay off for you, Aaron. So stick with it. 3.87 on that first form. Don't be disappointed in that, because one day you're going to be able to kick over everybody's head.
She's probably great for sparring. Nice long legs. You can just attack the head nice and easily.
I'm hoping to be able to see her choreo. That'd be a fantastic height on the side kicks.
Yeah, so she's working hard here to try and keep that deep stance, but we did see some movement in that 8 count. You really want to try and lock your bottom half so that there's not any movement, and then just your shoulders and hips turn while your legs stay locked and in place. We are getting to see some height there on those front kicks, though.
Yeah, those are really great front kicks, well over her head. So she's really showing a lot of potential here. So we have a lot of details to work through, but at the same time, a lot of promise. So good job on that second Poomsae for Aaron Laylor.
Sure.
So she receives a score of 5.2 on Paljong, and then a combined score of 4.53. But this is just the beginning. Lots to learn, lots to enjoy with Poomsae. So I hope she continues and that we get to see her in our next event.
Here we have Taylor Gerst from Colchester, Connecticut, coached by Grandmaster David Turgeon. We've seen this studio many times now. looks like Taylor's still working through some of these harder motions like the stomps and the turns and the pickups. But like we said, she has some great teammates and coaches there with Grandmaster Turgeon and Master Erica. So I think having them to look up at was competitors as well as helping you in the dojang once we're allowed to go back will really help advance the level of training in the Poomsae.
Yeah, and learning this Haktari Sogi, this crane stance for the first time is challenging. So I think she's doing a really great job trying to navigate, trying to use just the right amount of knee bend and making sure that her core is solid as she's going through. So she's kind of picked a very comfortable height for her doing this. She receives a score of 4.5. That's Taylor Gerst with Kumgang, a score of 4.5. And now moving on to take a pole jump.
Taylor also does sparring and says that she attended a seminar that was hosted by her dojang, and it hosted U.S. national champion Carissa Fu. So Carissa, who won the Senior 2 division a few episodes ago, competes both in Poomsae and sparring back in the day, just a couple years ago, national champion in that division as well. So great that we get to see our national champions really working with some of the younger athletes all over the country.
Yeah, that's great for her to be able to work side by side with Carissa, who's super gracious and generous in helping our younger athletes. So it's nice to see that Taylor here has been inspired by somebody on our national team, and it couldn't be anybody better or nicer than Carissa Fu. That was Taylor Gerst finishing up take a pole jump, and she receives a score of, wait for it, here we go, 5.1. Nice score for Taylor. It's got to feel good there. And she receives a combined score of 4.8. So much stronger on that second Poomsae. So a lot to look forward to for Taylor Gerst.
Hi, I'm Ryan Real. I'm from Diamond Bar, California. I compete in the 15 to 17 Junior Black Belt Male division, and I made the 2020 World Poomsae National Team this year. So back in January, at the Poomsae Grand Slam Finals, when I made national team, a lot of thoughts were running through my head, and I was just really grateful and honored to have this opportunity to represent my country at the World Championships in Denmark. I was just so grateful for all the support from my teammates and my coach, Grandmaster Jin, because without that support system, I definitely would not have been able to really just trust in the training and let the results come as they did. So when we did receive the official announcement that the Denmark World Championships this year wasn't going to happen, I definitely did feel a little disappointed. But, you know, it reminded me of an experience back in 2017 where I had made national team for sparring. It was my first time on the sparring national team, and I was really excited to compete at the World Championships that year and represent my country for the first time in sparring. And unfortunately, for a very similar reason of protecting the safety of the athletes and the coaches and everyone on the team, the decision was made not to attend that World Championships. So really looking to my teammates and looking to my coaches who told me to keep my head up, keep looking forward for that next opportunity, I was able to really push through that. And you know, that year at the Pan Am Championships, where I competed as part of the Poomsae and sparring national teams, I was able to get gold in both individual Poomsae and sparring. And that just really showed me how I can't let circumstances beyond my control affect my motivation and my mentality moving forward. So that's really helped me push through times like this, where things don't necessarily go as we had planned, and a lot of things that we were looking forward to haven't been able to come to fruition just yet. So definitely continuing to stay motivated with training right now, even virtually, and competing online at these competitions like Summer of Poomsae is really helping me prepare for that next competition, that next opportunity where I can really make national team and represent my country well on an international stage. So I think one of the biggest reasons why I love Taekwondo is just because from a very young age, when I started at the age of 4, it was really drilled into me that Taekwondo is more than just a sport. It's more than just a recreational hobby. It's a cultural art and it's a way of life. So choosing to do Taekwondo, especially at this high level, has become like a lifestyle choice for me. And specifically with Poomsae, I feel that I'm able to really embody all that Taekwondo has to offer in regards to its identity as a cultural art. So there's a lot of artistry involved in Poomsae, and I just really enjoy getting to explore that side of Taekwondo. So I think definitely my biggest supporters have definitely been my family, especially my sister. So we've been competing together. We made that transition from, you know, color belts to black belts, and then eventually competing at an international elite level together. And just knowing that I have a training partner with me every step of the way to keep me motivated, keep me accountable with all my successes, with all my failures, has been really instrumental in helping me get as far as I have. And I can definitely count on that to continue to bring me success in the future. I'd also like to thank my Eagles team, especially Grandmaster Jin for taking us in and really teaching us about how to look for improvement wherever it is, and really just continue to strive for that perfection, even if we may never get there. Just having those high aspirations is really going to get us far in this sport and in life. And I'd also like to thank my Eagles teammates for always training with me, always pushing me. When the training is hard, when the training is easy, you're always there for me. And I just really appreciate that because it's gotten me to where I am today. So to conclude, I'd just like to wish everyone good luck at the 2020 Summer of Poomsae Championships. And I hope you guys enjoy seeing yourselves on screen and being proud of everything that you've worked for. Bye.
Up next is Ariana De Paz. And Ariana is from Arizona. We haven't had many athletes. We did have a male cadet athlete yesterday in the male cadet division from Arizona. She's from the International Taekwondo Academy, and her coach is Master Rodrigo Valenzuela.
I know when I do this bar, I always have to remind myself, one more spin to the right, keep going to the right. Otherwise you can go too early and go to the front and miss that whole last section. I do a lot of talking to myself as I do my Poomsae Coach Brand, reminding myself of things to do, things to remember, what to focus on. But I feel like these athletes are doing a pretty good job of not showing any of that thinking on their faces.
Yeah, when we start deconstructing the Poomsae, there are just so many elements to it. It's easy to get caught up in many, many details with every single step. So Ariana De Paz finishes with a 4.97 in Kumgang. I give her a lot of credit. I hear it's about 1 million degrees in Arizona this week. You know, here in Sacramento, we're around anywhere from 107 to 111 coming up. So Arizona, we usually add, I don't know, about 4,000 degrees to that. And that's what she's facing here. So I give her a lot of credit for being able to do this, unless that's like really highly air-conditioned space there. And I'm doubting it. Looks like she is pushing through the heat.
Nice front kicks. I think making those front stances a little bit longer coming out of those front kicks will help her overall.
Nice quick turn on that last line there, take the ball jump. So end strong. Looks like she knew, like, I'm just going to finish this with an extra pow and a kapow, and then let's see what the score is. So Ariana De Paz, we see the score 5.77 for the second Poomsae. And then a combined score of 5.37. So we'll be able to see the standings shortly here, but about every 6 athletes the standings will come on the screen. So you might want to pause it there and or take a picture so you can keep track of who's winning in this division. So we have scores ranging anywhere from the 5s to the mid-7s so far. And this is Sophie Richard. Sophie Richard is from Virginia. She's from U.S. Tigers, and her coach is Master Dennis Kim.
And Sophie had an injury a year ago and had to take a year off, but she's been working really hard at improving her forms and not giving up after that injury. So Sophie, it's really great to see you back out there competing. And I'm not sure, it doesn't say here what the injury was, but her kumgang so far is not showing too much of an injury. Always some balance struggles with kumgang myself, but so far looking pretty solid.
Yeah, it's never easy to come back from an injury. You really have to be focused and really taking care of your body. At the same time, you're trying to build up your stamina again, your core strength, muscle strength. There's a lot going on. So I hope that she has really good coaching out there and able to really put the pieces back together again.
Right, and hopefully she was able to watch some of our other episodes. Here we have her first scores at 5.63. And we saw a backstory from national team member and coach Long Nguyen from M-Team, who talked a little bit about his injury where he tore his ACL and couldn't be on the team, but still got to go as a coach. And that process, he talked about how one day he just broke down crying. So it can be really hard. I've also torn my ACL and had that surgery and come back. It took years. It still hurts, a decade later sometimes. But being able to really power through, I think, shows your dedication and passion as an athlete. So I think Sophie here showing some really nice long front stances and front kicks. I think this form definitely stronger for her than kumgang.
Right, and with decades and decades and decades in front of her to compete, just has to make sure she takes a real smart approach to her rehab and her first times out with competition. Make sure she measures everything in terms of like how her body is feeling, how it's progressing, and what to do to strategize to reach that podium. So for Sophie Richards, score 6.33 and a total score of 5.98. We have a lot of scores in the 5s and a few in the 7s. Not that cluster that we had yesterday in those mid 6s, at least not yet. So we have Juliana Candelaria still in first place. And then we have that rounded out athlete standings until athlete number 17. So we're just really starting our competition at this point because we have 65 athletes in the female cadet division this time around.
And this is Alyssa Shim from New York, and she trains at Team Champions Bayside, coached by Master Andrew O. Another dojang we've seen multiple times now.
Right, it must be really fun for them to have all that support. So not only in their training, but in their preparing for this particular event and then cheering each other on as the Summer of Poomsae airs. From episode to episode, it must be really fantastic to be part of a big team.
And we saw the Cadet Male prelims in the last episode. Here we have the Cadet Female preliminary round. But we have junior male and females coming up in future episodes, as well as semifinals, and eventually getting down to our top 8 for those finals for the cadets and juniors.
And Alyssa Shim received a score of 7.3, a nice high score. At this point, definitely in the top, I'm going to say 5 so far. That puts her in a nice position as she begins to take a pole jump.
She's showing some really great.
So her accuracy is pretty strong as she's moving through taking Paul John. She's taking a moment here to take it all in. She's really thoughtful about where she's beginning and finishing each of those techniques, and her stance size is pretty good. A little bit more lock-in on the back leg would probably help even more, but looked really good throughout that Poomsae. That's Alyssa Shim finishing up on Taegu Paljang, and she received a score of 7.43 for a really high score. She should be ecstatic about that because it's going to move her really high into the standings here with a score of 7.37. So we'll see exactly where that is in just a moment, but I believe that's in the top 4 to 5 athletes.
Yep, I think she might even be top in the 3rd place right now.
This is Megan Kim from Taekwon Kids and Team M Community Poomsae program. She's coached by Master Chin Sonu, as well as All Win, We Win, and Long Win.
Megan Kim showing some good control here so far, opening up strong. Not too many balance issues here so far. And she trains with M-Team with their Community Poomsae program, so we see her here in the #TheGarage. Nice stop, good control into that last pickup here on the crane stance as she goes into her last spin.
걸어. 쇼.
And that was Megan Kim doing Kumgang for a score of 7.47. So another high score here in the mid-7s. We just saw Alyssa Shim get a similar score. So let's see how Megan does on her Paljang.
That's a great score. At this point, we only have a few, maybe 3 scores in the 6 range. They're either in the 5s or the 7s. So this is really fun to watch these high-level performers in this division.
And we are seeing a bit of a bigger spread in the scores so far from the judges. We mentioned in the cadet males there was a lot of stacking and similar scoring. So the semis cut was pretty close. But so far we have a good range on our scores from our judges as we are seeing athlete number 19 here. But remember, everyone, we have 65 athletes, so we are not even a third of the way through yet.
걸어.
Nice Paljang for Megan Kim, and her score is just about to roll in right here. I'm excited to see what it is after 7.47 with a harder form Kumgang. Yeah, it jumps up to 7.67 for Taegu Paljang. So then, of course, combined score for Megan Kim of 7.57. So really great score there, pushes her up. Seems like we have 2 groups of athletes, very well experienced athletes in this division, and then we have some athletes that this might be their first time out, so they're getting dinged a little bit more for all the accuracy items, is putting them in the ranges of the 5s, and then these well-experienced athletes getting into the 7s, low 7s to mid 7s so far. So I believe Megan Kim just pushed herself into first place. At least I think so at this point. So good job to her.
Yeah, so just about 20 athletes in. Megan there sitting up at first place in a 7.57, followed by Juliana Candelaria with a 7.55, and then Michaela with a 7.52. So those 3 athletes up there in the mid 7s, really great performances. And here we have Seun Park performing her Kumgang. And you mentioned when we watched the cadet males in the last episode, Coach Brand, but we do want to see these athletes with a Poom belt in the future. There won't be any deductions. It's all okay, but in the future, if you are going to compete in the USA Taekwondo or World Taekwondo circuit, you do want to check the packet, make sure that you have the correct belt and uniform.
Yeah, there's a nice resource there. It's all laid out. There are some drawings of all the different levels of age groups and then the corresponding correct uniform. This is Seung Park with a score of 5.53 for Kumgang.
준비. 태극 8장. 시작.
Making sure on that 8 count that hand motion finishes above the shoulders. It's about the chin. You want to break the chin, so making sure that that motion comes up just a little bit more. We'll see if the judges decide that it should be a major or a minor. The way that the points are given is based on body part. So if a motion should be punched to the body and you punch to the head, that would be a major deduction. So I don't know if the judges here will take that major. It might have been close enough, but something to keep in mind, especially as you're working through some of these forms.
Well, Seung Park received a score of 5.3 and a total score of 5.73.
준비.
This is Zoe Loom from Apex Tigers
시작.
Team ATMA, and her coach is Master Yerick Gun.
Taking a little bit more cautious approach on the timing. Maybe not quite turning her head over quite as much as she could.
Yeah, she has a little bit slower pace here. Maybe she's just trying to make sure she's balanced. You want to make sure that you're looking in the direction of where your body is heading. Instead of having your head out sideways, you're going to be looking exactly where you're going.
I also dance, Coach Brand. I do hula, the Hawaiian dance. My family is from Hawaii. But one of the tricks that we teach our kids when we're dancing is to look with your nose. So that if you just look with your eyes, sometimes your head doesn't turn. And so you really want to look with your nose in the direction that you should be going. That way it'll make sure that your face is completely turned over.
Well, that would definitely help Zoe on those stomping techniques, those mountain blocks of coming and going. Make sure that she's heading in the same direction with her head as her body is. So she might take a couple of hits on the accuracy on that one. But good to know you also do hula. As you know, I'm a famous hula dancer myself.
And that long, luxurious hair flowing in the wind.
Mm-hmm. Zoe Loom receives a score of 4.73 for that first Poomsae. Looks like she feels a bit more comfortable with Taegeuk Paljang. And I think most of the athletes have as well, and their scores reflect that. Typically getting a pretty good bump in score on the second form.
Right, Kumgang is a long form and a difficult form with a lot of places to take some balance checks or accuracy deductions. So Kumgang, you spend a lot more time with both feet on the ground at least. It's a little bit more comfortable.
This is Zoe Loom finishing up with Taegeuk Paljang. I think she's going to have an easy time developing. She's surrounded by very strong teammates there and a strong coach. So I think it's just a matter of time for Zoe Loom to bump up to the next level here in scoring. She received a 6.03 for Taegeuk Paljang and a combined score of 5.38. So that's exactly what a lot of our athletes have done here with that huge bump in the second form. It's still being hampered a bit by the accuracy score of Kumgang.
This is Elizabeth Kim from Illinois. She attends Tiger Martial Arts. There we can see the logos on the back wall, and she's coached by Master Boyeon Kim. Elizabeth likes to listen to K-pop, and one of her favorite hobbies is to go horseback riding. So maybe out there in Illinois, she has some more outdoor land than I have here in the city. But I actually also grew up with a horse. My mom had a horse, so we got to go horseback riding as well. So, you just get to learn a lot about athletes and their fun facts.
And I'm learning about you too, hula, horseback riding, what's next. I can't wait to find out who our next competitor is and what their special interests are, because I'm guessing yours might be very much similar to theirs. I'm hoping they're a race car driver in their spare time.
Well, I hope it's not one of the cadet athletes, Coach Brand. We don't want the cadets doing race car driving.
Oh, that's true. So this is Elizabeth Minji Kim. Finishing up, Kumgang with score of 6.6.
And that's a pretty good presentation score too. So again, Kumgang is a difficult form, but if she can get some of those accuracy deductions taken away, or if she improves just a little bit, her overall score will go up and she'll be close to a 7. I think I'd like to see just a little bit more shoulder and hip rotation from her on these slow 8-count motions.
And maybe locking in those front stances just a little bit more, maybe a little bit more on those, and then locking in that back hip and back knee. Really trying to push upward on that front kick. I admire that effort to try to get up as high as possible. Then up over the head with the first kick and not quite that high with the second. So it's be interesting to see what the score is for this one. Follows the pattern. If it follows the pattern, she'll be up just a little bit higher than her Kumgang score. So she received a much higher score. Look at that, 7.17 for Taeguk Paljang. And a combined score, one of our few athletes here in the 6 range, 6.88. That's a nice high score for Elizabeth Minji Kim. And we're at about the 33% point in our competition here. This is athlete number 23, Yuna Peyton Kim. So Yuna is from Dawangale, USA, and her coach is Master Sang-jae Lee.
Also known as Poomsae Master Lee.
Yes. Coached many world championship athletes through the years, and so she definitely has all the information that she needs in order to get to whatever level she's hoping for.
Right, Poomsae Master Lee also married to a Poomsae world champion who competed in the senior 2 team as well as individual this past year, and I believe she was either 2nd or 3rd in that senior 2 team.
And also pairs as well.
And pairs, yeah. World champion in pairs. So great wealth of knowledge here for Yuna to learn from and train with, and she's showing a really solid Kumgang. Nice, really quick spin, so nice that she's able to control those.
Sure. So Yuna Peyton Kim received a score of 7.07. Nice score on that first Poomsae. Definitely going to make the cut, at least in terms of the athletes that we have so far. So let's see how she does on Taeguk Paljang. Little up and down movement on the transitions. Maybe just calm that down a little bit.
But nice hip rotation here.
And nice height on that front kick. That looks pretty effortless as she's pushing that leg up. Really nice, and good recovery as well.
A lot of athletes will find themselves drifting over in this form. And there are about 2 places I know of where athletes will cheat to try and make it back to their spot. I'll try and point those out to you as we keep going through these paljongs, but I think she finished within a range that is acceptable there, and she gets a 6.93 on her second form. So a couple hits on accuracy, but overall a 7.0. So she's definitely in the top echelon here for this division and will be moving on. Here are your rankings. Yuna, who we just saw, in 8th place for now.
So Megan Kim in first, followed by Juliana Candelaria. And I missed that next one. I believe it was Megan Zhang.
I think we had Megan Kim and
Right,
then
Michaela
Juliana,
Zhang.
and then after Juliana was Michaela. And then Alyssa, maybe. It goes so fast.
Yeah, luckily for our viewers, they have the ability to press a pause button, or as we're doing the commentary, it moves at a hyper speed. So we hope you are patient with us, and maybe you take the opportunity to just hit that pause button and or take a photo so you can discuss it with whoever you're watching the event with as action's taking place. This is Abby Chu. And Abby Chu is from Team Champions Bayside in New York, and she's coached by Master Andrew O. Nice save on that transition there. And you just hold steady through the finish here with a nice strong punch, and followed by that last punch.
Shoot.
And Abby Chu received a score of 6.6 on her first form of Toomgang.
시작.
Abby says one of the achievements that she's gotten through Taekwondo is becoming a leader. And she's just 12 years old, but it's true. As soon as you become a black belt or a poom belt, you really can be a leader and an example to all the younger athletes below you, as well as color belts. And even as black belts, you can help some of the adult color belts who are learning through your school. So I'm really glad to see that she's becoming a leader in her school and taking on some of those challenges.
Yeah, we have 2 ages, right? Our chronological age and then our Taekwondo age. And some of these young athletes have been in the dojang so long, they know exactly what the expectations are and know exactly how to role model for younger athletes.
바로.
That was a nice solid Taegu Poljong there for Abby Chu.
차렷. 경례.
And her score comes in at almost here, just about to happen. Yes, she gets a 6.8. So now we're seeing a little bit more action in that 6 range, 6 to 7. Where at the beginning we're seeing a lot of 5s and a lot of 7s. She gets a combined score of 6.7.
And just a reminder, in that male division that we watched last episode, that cutoff was about a 6.7. It does not mean that that's what will happen for this division, but it is something to keep in mind. This is our 25th athlete. We have Celine Allersmeyer.
And we don't know exactly what that could be. It seems like we have quite a few athletes in that mid-7 range, which we didn't with the male cadets. So we had a few, but not a ton. So I think in general, these girls are scoring a little bit higher today than in that last episode. This is Celine Allersmeyer, and she is from Woosop Taekwondo, and her coach is Master Scott Ferguson.
And she received a silver medal at the 2019 AAU National Championships. And she's also a gold medalist at the Poomsae Championships Cup in Indianapolis. So some experience here all over the country. That's another thing I really like about Poomsae is that we get to travel around the country normally during tournaments. And Celine here gets a 6.53 on her first form. Obviously now we don't get to travel because of COVID, and we have some restrictions on state travel. So we do get to travel around the world now with these online tournaments.
You can tell she's moving with the confidence of somebody who's gone to a lot of tournaments. It seems like a lot of these girls have met up before in other competitions. So they're probably used to seeing each other, know what to expect, and know how to plan ahead.
There are a lot of upcoming Poomsae tournaments all over the world. So parents, if your kids and your athletes are interested in competing in more, just do some Googling around and you'll be able to find a lot of opportunities.
And for Celine Allersmeyer, score of 6.47 for Taeguk Paljang, and a total score of 6.5. So now we see a little bit of shift with judging here, going now into the mid-6 range.
To me.
This is Ella Ward.
Sup?
And Ella, again, is also from Apex Tigers Team ATMA. And her coach is Master Deeduk Gun as well. And I say as well because we've had several competitors in this division from this particular club.
And watching it, I really do like they have the flags and they have the USAT logo there in the background, but the windows are sort of frosted, so we're not getting a really bright sun. It's just nice, and we're able to focus on the athletes, so it's a nice setup. We are seeing some height up and down as she's transitioning through this sideways bar. So you really want to keep your same height here on those crane stances and horse stances and the sides.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that with the flags in the background, kind of creating a horizontal line for us to see whether or not that head is staying level, if it's bouncing up and down. So if we just look at the horizontal line now, the lower part of both flags, and then as she does a spin, hopefully she'll be able to stay steady. But we see that up and down drop a little bit. It was really common for developing Poomsae athletes. So definitely something that she can work on to help her score with Kumgang. So she receives a 6.37.
Stop.
Starts off with a nice high front kick in Taeguk Paljang.
She could also have front stances just a little bit longer. Maybe she's grown recently.
Well, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. The kids are growing. They're not sometimes adjusting their stance length. That would definitely help. Sometimes they learned it very young and the stance is small and they might stick with that same length. But at a certain point, we need to make sure that we're adjusting. And that certain point for some kids might be once a month. As they're hitting their growth spurts, they might have to be doing a little adjusting. Just a little bit more extension, a little bit more locking in will definitely help the score. That was Ella Ward. She received a 6.37 for the first Poomsae. Kumgang, and for this one a 7.1, so the score really jumped for her. Good job to Ella Ward for that Taeguk Paljang, and her combined score comes in at 6.73.
Hi, my name is Sydney Moon. I'm 13 years old from California, training at Generation Taekwondo with Master Chino Cruz. So Farmers Market on Wheels is a platform where we team up with local small farms and other businesses in the Bay Area, and we just deliver fresh produce to people's doorsteps.
So you actually go to the farmers market and get all the produce and take it to the people's houses?
So we act as like a marketplace, and we buy from the farmers and then we sell through our website, and then we pack it and then deliver it. Because of COVID-19, farmers markets started shutting down, and my mom wanted produce delivered to our house. So she asked a farmer and asked her if she could deliver. And the farmer was like, sure, if you can find me 6 other people to deliver to. And so my mom found her 20 instead, and that turned into 40. And so then the farmer asked if my mom could create a website so we can increase like orders. And so small farms and other businesses started hearing about Farmers Market on Wheels, and they asked us to sell their produce. And so now we're delivering fresh produce to 90 plus people per week, and 60 plus farmers are being helped out. If anyone wants to help support Farmers Market on Wheels, you can go to our website, farmersmarketonwheels.org, and you can customize your box or purchase a subscription box from us.
You've been able to go compete at some world championships. So what was it like getting to go to World to compete at that level?
It was a very great experience. I was also really young at the time, and I think I really enjoyed it, and it was just a really great experience.
So what divisions did you compete in at the World Championships?
I competed in junior freestyle team under 17.
How was your experience getting to compete in an online tournament like the Summer of Poomsae?
It was very different. It was also a great experience just to see like what things would be.
And up next here is Sydney Moon. She's from Generation Taekwondo in California, and her coach is Master Chino Cruz.
And Sydney is from San Jose, California, and competed at the 2018 World Taekwondo Poomsae Championships in junior team freestyle. So I was gonna say up there's a banner at the very top of your screen. I was like, that looks like it's from the World Championships, and probably is from that 2018.
It sure does.
World Championships.
Looks like that's from Peru up there.
Maybe it was 2016.
Oh, is it? Is it from Taipei?
I'm not sure. I can't see it.
20-some.
Yep, she's also competed in the 2019 Pan American Cadet and Junior Championships. So both a talented, recognized, as well as freestyle athlete.
I like her effort in trying to pull up that leg, that Hatari upraised leg as high as she can and try to get it to about hip height. Looks like what she's trying to shoot for there. And that's not easy. With one leg bent underneath and trying to pull that up, she did a really good job in trying to make every Hatari sogi count. And she gets a nice high score of 7.4 for Sydney Moon.
Yeah, especially on Kumgong, that's a high score, and she will be in the top 5 to 10 athletes or so with that score.
She has a nice extension, nice volume on the hand technique, a nice long stance. This is what we were talking about before, trying to lock in that back leg, give yourself an opportunity to have that strong base so that your hand techniques can show a lot of volume.
But keeping this front stance nice and sturdy while those hands are moving. It's hard sometimes because you want that stability and groundedness on the bottom, but good volume and smooth hands on top. And Sydney here is doing a really great job at that. Front kicks high, good volume of motion on her hands. A little bit of a jump there to the left. That was one of those cheats I mentioned earlier, is sometimes you jump a little to the left to make sure you really hit this mark here, and she does.
Both of those front kicks to the rear nice and high. I'm expecting another strong score from Sydney Moon. And yes, a 7.43. It's an excellent score, so really boost her high up here in the standings. She ends up with a combined score of 7.42. So I think that pushes her around about maybe number 4.
I think you're right, Coach Brand.
Yeah, don't quote me. We'll still need to wait for the standings to come in. So this is Naomi O from Arizona, and she is with Arizona Pride Taekwondo World Taekwondo Center. And she is coached by Master Ruben Lawley and former national team member Megan Yee.
Megan Yee is also a world champion bronze medalist, I believe, in the senior 1 pair division back when Worlds was in Mexico, I believe.
In 2014.
So some great coaching, and Naomi has lots of experience. I believe I've seen her at the President's Cup maybe last year, and she did really well, was in the finals, in the mix there of the medals if she didn't medal. So some really great experience for Naomi, good coach. And a nice solid kumgang so far, pretty low and good balance so far.
I think she has the lowest stances of anybody in this division so far. She looks like she feels really comfortable dropping low in that Jichum-sogi, that horse stance. You're going to see it here in just a moment. So this is probably the lowest stance height of any of the athletes so far. And that gives her a nice strong base to throw those punching techniques from, so she'll have a lot of power.
And she's been a national team alternate in the past couple of years, so really high level athlete here, getting a 7 on her kumgang.
Really nice control, nice pace, timing, good volume on these hand techniques. Really gives herself an opportunity to highlight these punches with this nice slow turn. As you mentioned before, it needs to take it real quick and then finish the count to 8.
Little bit of upper body movement on those front kicks to the side, but overall, really strong performance. I feel like she has more visible power than some of the other athletes, which is hard when you're 12 to 14, your body's growing, you don't have all those muscles yet, but I feel like some strength is coming through for Naomi.
Yeah, I think she even has a little bit more in the tank there that she can push out with to reduce some of the extra movement a little bit to be able to show that. So she gets another high score following her 7.0 with kumgang. She gets a 7.03 for taking poljang, so we'll end up with a final score of 7.02. So we're nearing the halfway point here, Miyako.
We're getting there, Coach Brand. This is our 29th athlete, Victoria Lewis.
And this, from my perspective here, this angle looks like a little bit of a optical illusion, like the floor is maybe coming downward into my screen. So if you're seeing the same thing, then don't adjust your television set or your computer. It's just the way the action is framed.
And Victoria's from New Hampshire, trains at Capital City Taekwondo under Master Blanchett. I think Victoria is one of our taller cadet female athletes. She also has legs for days, and I think we have to work on just a little bit really staying low so that she has to sink into those stances just a little bit more. And again, watch the face on those mountain blocks. You should be looking to the sides, not to the front of your body. So we will probably take some accuracy hits here in this form.
Yes, you're right. 5.2 for Victoria Lewis's Kumgang. A little bit of a spread in those accuracy scores there, with one really giving her some significant deductions. So hopefully she can make it up here on Poljang. Maybe on the next competition, just maybe move the camera a little bit more backward and level it up a little bit so it looks more even and steady. This is just a little bit tilted upward. Okay, 2 strong front kicks to the rear there, and now finishing up strong the final hand techniques in Taegeuk Poljang. That's Victoria Lewis from Capital City Taekwondo in New Hampshire. And she receives a score just above where she was, actually a bit above, 5.47 for that last Poomsae, and a final score of 5.33. So she was able to bump it up. She should feel really good about that, the higher score for Taegeuk Poljang. Here we have our standings again. Hopefully you're quickly able to press pause and give it all a look. So we are now up to competitor number 29, just about to start 30, so almost halfway there. Might be a good time to pause, grab a beverage, grab a snack, and then sit back down to enjoy the second half of the competition here. This is Caitlin Klingerman. Looks new to this division. Like she's from Code Martial Arts Academy in Indiana, and her coach is Master Soon Ko.
Coach Brand, fun fact, Caitlin and I have the same birthday. So Caitlin, she was born on my 18th birthday, but that's in February. And so, yeah, she's just aging into this division. Looks like she's just 12 years old this year.
Yeah, it looks like she just barely got into this division, right? They're doing a really good job. I don't know where you were on your, just after your 12th birthday, but she is doing a fantastic job on on Kumgang. New to the division, 3.07.
So we do see a pretty big spread there on the accuracy. Judge one zeroing her out. Easy to pick up on there. I think we just saw some heads facing the wrong way. So every time you do that, that's a 0.3 deduction. Cleaning those up immediately, your score will go way up.
Yeah, sometimes you might not even notice you're doing it. So maybe just watching this episode, she'll be able to quickly make that change. And those are huge deductions, 0.3, big deductions. So she can increase her score pretty quickly just by shifting her head. So doesn't need to get more flexible, doesn't need to get any stronger, just needs to face the correct direction. That was Caitlin Klingerman. So I'm guessing a higher score here for Taegeuk Poljang. She received 3.07 for Kumgang, and now look at that, 5.37. That's got to feel really good, right, Caitlin? 5.37 for Taegeuk Poljang and a combined score of 4.22. So good job, and also a lot to learn coming up. So stay tuned, Caitlin. Check out the other competitors here.
Yeah, you got it, birthday buddy.
시작.
Next up, we have Kai Aceto. And Kai is from New Jersey. She trains at Korea Taekwondo Center headquarters with Master Hee S. Moon. And again, we mentioned earlier about the uniform, so just take an opportunity to look at the packet to see what is the correct uniform based on your division. So cadets have a particular colorway for the youngsters, so check out your fellow athletes and then also check out the manual for any upcoming or the packet for any upcoming event. So this is Kaya Seto working her way through Kumgang.
And one thing to note is the Cadet Female division has red pants. As you move to the Junior Female division, you get blue pants. And Kai here is 14, so this is her last year in the division. Then she'll be aging up. So up to you if you want to get that uniform or not. But they do change from the Cadet to the Junior division. So something to keep in mind. And Kai gets a 4.63 on Kumgang. Again, a spread in the accuracy. Cleaning up some of those majors will get the accuracy more in line with each other from the judges, and we'll see the score overall go up.
Yes, I think if Kai just has some time with her coach to really discuss that Hakari Sogi, that crane stance, that'll go a long way to improving that Kumgang score. And here she is in taking Paul jump. Looks a little bit more comfortable in this Poomsae.
One of the taller athletes in the division, and maybe not quite getting the full extension on some of those stances. But as she continues to figure out her height and her body, she'll be able to sink into those, stay lower, stay grounded, and I think she'll do well in the future.
Okay, for Kaya Seto, she see the 4.63 for Kumgang and now gets a nice high score for Taylor Pauljung, 5.8. And she finishes up with a 5.22. So she's got a lot of company there in that 5 range.
For me.
And next up is Jalen Rose Collins.
Sure.
And Jalen also from CT Chengde Kwan, coached by Grandmaster David Turgeon, one of our national Poomsae coaches. So again, lots of information. She had some teammates in this division so far, so that's nice. They're all training together. She seems pretty comfortable with this Poomsae.
Jalen also likes to ride horses, so we have a couple athletes here who do horseback riding, and she enjoys competing in the hunter jump classes as well as the cross-country horseback riding.
Looks like she's really concentrating on her posture here, making sure she's standing nice and tall. This Haktari looks pretty strong here. So she's not new to this Poomsae. Looks like she's had a bit of time to get familiar and comfortable with it. So good job to Jalen Collins on Kumgang. 5.37 for her first form.
Good presentation though, so I expect her Pauljung score will be higher. Taking an aggressive jump forward there on those front kicks. Another thing to really be aware of on these 8 counts on the front stance, as you twist your shoulders and hips, don't let that front knee pull back. We do see a lot of the younger athletes moving around in that stance as they try and hold the knee in place or not realize and let it fall back. But keeping that front knee bent as much as it is on count 1 as it is on count 8 will help that visual, because nothing else should be moving, just your arms and your hips.
Looks like she's still getting used to that boomsogi as she's shifting from side to side. That's a fairly new technique for Pooms. You know, they get a little bit of it in Taeguk Choljang, but then it really comes into play a bit differently in Taeguk Poljang, kicking off that front leg. So good job with that. 5.53 for Jalen Collins, and an overall score of 5.45. Again, just like the athlete before her, a lot of company in that low to mid 5 range. Here we have this really happy setting here, Catherine Pease with this nice bright Taekwondo training space. Catherine Pease is from Maryland. Maybe you know her, Miyako. She's from East West.
I do. Yeah, so she and her brother Alex come and train. I coach at American University, so they'll come and train with some of my college kids. And we just saw their father, Christopher Peace, I believe, in one of the other episodes for the adult male blue belt. So it was nice that their dad competes, both kids compete, and their mom, Stacy, is their coach.
I believe her father competed in the blue belt division then? Would that
You're
be?
right, yep. Mm-hmm.
That was, I think, on one of our very first episodes.
And Catherine got a bronze medal at this last Maryland State Championships in 2020, was in February, just before everything closed down. So pretty solid kumgang there for Catherine. Good job, Catherine. I'm sure I'll see you virtually soon. And she gets a 5.9. So taking some hits on accuracy, a bit of a spread there. Judge 1 really picking something out that he didn't like. I'll have to go back and watch to see maybe what one of those judges was taking deductions on.
It's a great start in Taeguk Poljang. Nice and steady position here, trying to stack up her shoulders over her hips here. Got to make sure that those are aligned as she gently turns to this uppercut punch to the Chotra.
Catherine also does sparring, and she's really great at getting her foot up in your face, and some of my color belt college athletes already are nervous about her because she has a lot of potential in both sparring and Poomsae.
That was Catherine P. She received a 5.9 for her kumgang, and her Taeguk Poljang score is coming up here just in a moment. She receives a 6.43. That was quite a jump from the first Poomsae. Good job to Catherine Pease. And she ends up with a final score here of 6.17. We just have about 5 or 6 athletes in that 6 range. The majority of them are either in that low 5, the mid 5, or the 7 range. It's kind of interesting how this is turning out compared to the cadet males, where everybody was right in the center there in the mid 6s.
And this is Sabrina Kim from Rochester, New York, attends Master Kim's Taekwondo, and she is coached by Master Suji Kang, who is a 4-time world champion from Korea, who now lives in the New York, New Jersey area, and now has her own school here with her brother.
So maybe you can take a moment to read what's on her backdrop. Some really great ideas there for personal self-philosophy here. I'll respect everyone and myself. I will think before I act and will be responsible for my actions. I'll meet all challenges and I will strive to rise above them. That's fantastic. Hopefully all of our viewers can think about that for a few minutes and where they stand on all of these. Really puts it into place a personal responsibility. You will be the captain of your ship, in other words, and you will decide and make the best decisions possible. That was Sabrina Kim with a 7.0. Great score. Getting over 7 will almost guarantee getting into that semifinal round. At least that's what it's looking like so far.
And we are just now halfway through the division. Sabrina is the first of our second half of the athletes. So starting now, the top half of the scores, 33 and up, will move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, this competition is just flying by, right, Miyako? We are just about halfway through, just a tad over the halfway point. It just seems like just yesterday that we started.
And I am really enjoying reading all these fun facts that the athletes and their parents submitted. So, for example, Sabrina just got a Shih Tzu puppy during the pandemic. And she enjoys baking and helping out the family at the dojangs. So this is her family dojang. So this must be Master Sung Kim is that picture on the back right, and this must be his daughter. So it's their family dojang.
So I believe she received 7 on each of the Poomsae. So while it might be hard to figure out her final score, yep, I think it is a 7. So she's just right in line with that group. Maybe we have about 10 so far that are in that 7.5 range. This is Emerson Francis. And Emerson is from Texas. She's from the National School of Martial Arts. And she's coached by Master Michael Giampetro.
And Emerson just got her 2nd degree black belt in July. So just a couple of weeks ago, she got her 2nd degree black belt.
This next step here, we want to make sure instead of eyes looking to the side, eyes looking straight forward or toward that back line, the direction of the back line, I should say. So she might go a couple hits there. Yeah, definitely a couple hits on the accuracy, just maybe turning the head to the correct direction would be the first thing to do. She receives a score of 3.73. That's Emerson Francis.
Right, looks like she might be coming from a different style, perhaps, and just making sure that she watches through all these other athletes, making sure that she's hitting the 8 counts. Some of these motions should be really soft, no hits at the end, both in Kumgang and Paljang. So she has a lot of great qualities, I think really flexible, showing some good power. Just has to switch over to the current competition style.
Right, there are definite differences in stance length and hand position for sure during the kicks and the volume of the movement. So maybe just doing a little studying of this style will go a long way. That was Emerson Francis with taking Paljang. Definitely a lot of potential for Francis. Maybe making a plan with her coach and strategizing, make sure she's getting all these accuracy pieces. So she received a 4.0. Really took a hit from one of those judges in accuracy. Ends up with a score of 3.87 for Paljang. Here comes the standings again with Megan Kim, Juliana Candelaria, and Michaela Zhang in the first 3 spots, followed by Sydney Moon, Alyssa Shim in the 4th and 5th spots.
And remember, as you were looking through these, we're taking the top 33.
And here's Leora Ariosa. And Leora is from South Carolina. She's from Master Kim's World Class Taekwondo. And her master is Doon Kyu Kim. Many of the online tournaments had the athletes performing in their homes, and we still do see quite a bit of that. But also, many athletes have been able to get into their club to do this recording, which is really nice that they have the space and opportunity to do that. So thanks to all the masters and instructors who are able to open their doors to their young athletes in order to do this recording. Did you finish that Kumgang with a nice strong run? Those last few techniques. And the order score for Kumgang is a 7.0. So just like Sabrina Kim starting off with a 7.0, let's see if she can boost that up a little bit, or at least stay steady here to take a call jump. That will put her in a good position here for this cutoff. There's really high, exceptionally high front kicks going on here, well over her head. Just needing to lock in that back leg there on the front stance. That will go a long way. Wow, 2 kicks well over her head on the back line. Now finishing very strong here on this last line of taking call jump. That was Leora Aliosa finishing up on taking call jump there. Really well done. So she received a score of 7.0 on the first one, and on the second gets a 7.23. So nice big boost on that second form. And that pushes her score up to a 7.12. So definitely in the top half of this division.
All right. Welcome everybody. This is Chopping It Up with one half of Jason and Sherman, the Sherman half. And I am with one of our outstanding Summer of Poomsae athletes. So I have Guian Legaspi. Is that right? Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I know you told me like 25 times, but I'm an old man, so you have to be very kind. You're competing in the Cadet Female division. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell me a little bit about what was it like competing, doing Poomsae virtually?
Doing Poomsae virtually is different from live because in live ones, like you have the whole crowd cheering but like virtually, like you have to get yourself mentally prepared for competitions and to boost your confidence and like instead of live or teammates help with that instead.
Got you. Yeah, I can imagine you have to do a lot of that yourself. You have to get yourself kind of psyched up and ramped up. So is this the space behind you? Is this where you train at home?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so you all have built a mini dojo in the house. Okay. I like it. So how does it feel having like a designated space? You have your own space, with mats and with your Bob in the corner. And how does it feel to have your own space? How does that help you rather get ready for virtual competition?
It helps, like, instead of being inside and doing it like in the living room, and like not having much of a space, we have mats here and I have more space like at the dojo. Mm-hmm. And it feels like you're at the school, but
okay,
you're actually at home.
No, that's good. So I imagine that helps with getting you in that zone. All right, so again, I want you to think about this for a second. What's one piece of advice you would give to an athlete who wants to compete virtually in Poomsae?
One piece of advice I would give is to don't be confident in yourself and don't self-doubt and just be confident.
Yes, listen, that's good stuff. Listen, you heard it from the mouth of a champion herself. Believe in yourself, don't doubt, have confidence. Again, I thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I appreciate it. More importantly, USA Taekwondo and our Taekwondo community gets to know you a little better. So best of luck on this competition and every future competition. And I can't wait till we're back together inside of a amphitheater or stadium so we can give each other a high five in real life. But I'll give you a virtual one right now. You gotta make the sound effect. There you go. This is Coach Sherman Nelson, your Minister of Information, and I have Gia Legaspi, and she just got hype shots.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
GB.
Up next, we have Jean Legaspi. And she is from Hans Taekwondo and Team M Community Poomsae program in California. And she is coached by Master Francis Esposa, as well as Onwin, Win, and Longwin. Got quite a few medals they're hanging on the wall. That's a lot of experience. Not sure if those are those that she competed and received, or maybe she has a whole family or a whole neighborhood. That is quite a few medals up there. Could belong to not just the neighborhood, but maybe the greater part of the state. That is looking very impressive up there on the wall. But I digress. This is John Legaspi from California.
Pro. Show.
Nice strong Kundong there, and receives a 6.53.
GB.
So most athletes have been able to boost up their score with their second Poomsae. Take with Paul John. Let's see if John can do the same thing. Definitely off to a good start here. Nice high reach on those front kicks, and she's trying to boost up herself as high as she can, getting well over her head. And same thing on these last two kicks. Both kicks showing from this angle over her head, which is really nice to see. Sometimes we can't see one of the two, or we're just seeing the toes kind of creep over the top there, but those were very noticeable. Okay, so she receives a score, Jean Legaspi, of 6.83 on take with Paul Jung. A bit higher than her first one. Her first one was 6.53. So her score is boosted to 6.68. We're going to need to wait and see where she is in the standings, because right now we have just a huge variety of scores in the 7s and the 5s and a handful in the 8s. A handful in the 6s. No 8s yet, although I'm hopeful.
I don't know, Coach Brand, you just got to go back and watch that Senior 1 division.
Over and over again. I can watch that every day. So exciting. I hope everybody else does too. You know, this is the first episode that you tuned in on. You might want to go back to some of the earlier episodes. We had episode 1 through 8 for the adult divisions, starting with the Senior 1s and all the way up to Master 4. Something to be learned in all of those divisions, especially with the higher level Poomsae. This is Sierra Klein from Florida. She trains at United Tiger, Jonathan Lee.
It looks like this might be a sparring uniform. Uniforms do make a big deal in Poomsae. You want to make sure that you're wearing the right size. Normally, Poomsae uniforms are shorter, both on the arms and the legs. So you want to be able to see wrists and ankles as judges. So I think maybe a smaller uniform here for Sierra might help us be able to see all of her moves and just continue to work through these forms.
It might not seem important, but it would definitely be a huge benefit, especially for Sierra here, because the arm sleeve length is just a little bit too long. So if we could see more of that wrist and fist, maybe the score would go up higher. So 5.6 for Sierra Klein's first Poomsae. And in general, Poomsae uniforms are a little bit more form-fitting in the upper body. So that's kind of helpful to us because we can show or highlight some of that core strength.
Right, if you can't see the movements, then we can't tell that you're doing it correctly. So it does help to have a slightly smaller uniform. But Sierra's recent accomplishment includes getting her second-degree black belt, and in her spare time, she enjoys art, and she does both painting and drawing.
Well, it's clear that she knows the Poomsae, definitely knows all the individual movements. Now it's just a matter of tightening it up, going through each step with her coach, and making sure she's expressing the volume, the power of each technique as much as possible. So Sierra received a 5.6 for her first Poomsae, Kumgang, and second Poomsae she receives a 6.0. So nice little boost there. And she has a combined score for the two of 5.82. This is Hannah Kleinberger, and she's from Connecticut. She trains at World Champion Taekwondo in Woodbridge, and her coach is Master Hyun Kim and Master Sengpil Kim. And I believe we saw this setting in the adult division, the first episodes of Summer of Poomsae. So it's nice to see that Hannah has some support there with some of the more senior black belts that can guide her through each of these Poomsae.
Right, it looks like a nice dojang, lots of big mirrors there for training. Of course, we don't really get to train at our dojangs yet. Although actually I have seen some postings from schools around the country that are able to start opening with socially distanced classes and some wearing masks, temperature checks. So I know that we're all trying to figure out how we move forward in this time, but some of us are starting to be able to go back into buildings now for training. But make sure that you're staying safe out there. Drink a lot of water if you're training anywhere because it's really hot all over the country. So being healthy always number one.
So for Hannah Kleinberger, she receives a score for Kumgang 6.63. Yes, here in California, we're allowed to train outdoors. So we're doing outdoor training with masks on, with really a great deal of distance between every athlete. So at this point, that's the safest route we can go. We certainly hope everybody else is doing the same in their particular state with their particular guidelines. We want to make sure everybody stays safe and healthy and happy until we all get to come back together again in competition. So Hannah's taken a fairly conservative approach on the pace here, looking for that balance to be not, impacted at all. So she's taken a really safe course, trying to make sure she hits every technique without any huge issues from one step to the other.
차렷 경례.
And she receives a 6.5, so just under her first score, 6.63. So she receives a 6.57 total score. And with just 25 athletes to go, Miyako.
Yep, this is our 40th athlete here, Valentina Glines.
And Valentina is from California. She trains at the National Taekwondo Center in Rancho Palo Verdes, and her coach is Master Kun Yi.
And Valentina competes in both sparring and Poomsae. And her hobby outside of Taekwondo, are you ready for this, Coach Brand? She enjoys doing parkour.
That's awesome.
And
Parkour. I like it.
Parkour. And she also enjoys K-pop, and her favorite group is BTS.
Of course. Parkour. That would be really fun to be able to watch her on a video. Maybe get a little interview going on for her so you can see some of that parkour action as well as her taekwondo.
It's easy to throw your body up and over things when you're so tiny. She's just 12 years old and showing really good body control here. So I think maybe that helps with the parkour as well, knowing where all your body parts are at the time and being able to control them all through this Poomsae.
Well, sure, she has a pretty agile body type there and gets a 7.03 on that first Poomsae. Well done. The Valentina line.
시작!
Punches might be a little bit low. It's hard to tell with the camera angle. Coaches, parents, just make sure that punches are above the belt. They should be at solar plexus.
Yeah, I noticed the first couple being more off than the last one was. The third one was a little bit more accurate. And needing to bring those punches up to the philtrum level. So not finishing at the shoulder or the chin, but get that all the way up to the philtrum. Looking for nice high kicks here. Looked like they were just at about the head height. And finishing strong on this last line.
Yeah, something to keep in mind as we watch all these and we're looking at the scores is on most of these motions, you don't want your arms to dip below your belt. So any of those single knife hand blocks, double knife hands, you want them to be belt or higher. And Valentina here gets a 6.97 on her second form. So
a little lower than that first score. Yeah. She ends up with a 7.0. But I think that puts her in a pretty good position here. We'll move on to the semifinal round, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. We have quite a few more athletes to go. This is Prisha Shamali.
And Prisha is from Edgewater, New Jersey, and she trains at Miracles, which we can see those signs up there behind her. And the owner of Miracles Taekwondo is Master Suji Kang, who we mentioned, that 4-time world champion from Korea. And Prisha is just 12 years old, but she enjoys writing and is the founder and editor of her school newspaper club. So that's a really cool thing to be able to start at such a young age, to have a passion so strong. So I'm glad that she has outlets for all of her energy, doing some really great Poomsae here, as well as that writing in the newspaper for her school.
So that was Prisha Shamali, and her score is coming in right now at 7.2. Really great score. Oh my goodness. That puts her in a really great position.
Yeah, I was looking back at the scores and we only had about 11 athletes with a 7 or higher. So puts her in the top 12 for sure.
And that's what you're talking about a little bit there, that accuracy on the punches. Really got to be careful on that. Maybe practice looking into a mirror on that first line. Since we have 3 punches, we want to make sure those are all centered up. Those may have been just a little bit too low, although hard to know what the judges are deducting. Nice high front kicks, really boosting high from the floor. And kicks well over the head for those 2 to the rear. So that's really great that she's able to push herself so high up. So she received a pretty darn good score for the first form.
And Prisha here is just aging into this division. She still is 11-year-old. She turns 12 on October 2nd. So a very young athlete coming in, showing some really great potential here, a 7.2 overall. And here are those rankings.
Yeah, so Megan Kim, Juliana Candelaria, Michaela Zhang, and Sydney Moon, I believe, all in the top spots. So we have 41 athletes who have competed so far. So just 24 athletes left. Seems like it's just been a blink of an eye. Seems like we just started and now we're almost all the way through.
We hope you're enjoying this as much as we are. This is national team member and national team coach Barbara Brand, as well as an AAC rep. So if you have any questions about Poomsae, Coach Brand is your person to go to.
Well, thanks, Miyako, but we have quite a few resources out there. We have
No, just you, Coach Brand. They all have to go to you.
I am willing to share. This is Haley Kobach. Off to a good start with Kumgang. Nice backdrop there.
And it is true. There's a lot of resources available for you as parents or as athletes. The USA Poomsae team has a website you can go, and there are instructional videos. We mentioned already, but all of these episodes are great resources to find a Poomsae that you compete with and just watch it, 65 times, and you'll learn pretty quickly what to do, what not to do. And there are also upcoming referee seminars hosted by USA Taekwondo all through August, September, October into the fall. So look into that. See if you want to maybe take a referee seminar. You can become a certified referee and learn both sparring and Poomsae, what to do, what not to do. So lots of opportunities for learning here, even though we're all in quarantine.
And that was Haley Kobach there, finishing up with Kumgang and receiving a score of 6.2. And if you happen to be a grandparent tuning in, you're right. Your grandchild is the most adorable and was robbed on the score. They definitely should have gotten a 9.5. That's not fair. How could anybody not think that your grandchild is the best when clearly that's the case?
And if you're watching and this is your friend or teammate or sibling or grandchild, go ahead and comment there in that YouTube comment section. Let us know how they're doing. Give us a shout out. We're just so proud of all these young athletes. They're doing a really great job putting themselves out there in this Summer of Poomsae event. Haley showing some really nice flexibility on these front kicks, pushing forward just a tad and getting good extension. We saw that first front kick clear even over her bun, which is on top of her head.
Yeah, it's hard to clear the bun, huh? I didn't think about that.
That's an extra 2 inches.
Yeah, from the rear, it's really tough to get higher than that. Sure. So good job to Haley Kobach, finishing with a strong taking Paul Jung over the bun, double kicks there, double front kick, and getting a 6.3. So just higher than her first score on Kumgang was 6.2, and their final score of 6.25. Up next, we'll have Maya Gall.
Stop.
And Maya is from Colorado. She trains at US Taekwondo Center, coached by Master Sean Jung.
And we saw Sean compete in the male senior 2 division, just recently aging up into that and competing in both individual and in senior 2 team at the Grand Slam. So great coach, lot of knowledge and experience. So Maya here coming out with her Kumgang. Maybe could sit a little bit lower in this crane stance.
It looks like she might be ready to age up from this division next year.
And since we do have so many athletes who are going to age up, it's worth looking into the packet on points. because we do have this new national ranking system now. So you get points for competing in this event, but these are cadet points. And as you age up into the junior division, you will not take all of those points with you. I'd have to go back and check myself, but it's something around 50% of the points. So it is definitely worth doing. Compete at all the tournaments, get as many points as you can, because some of them will go up with you when you change age divisions.
And that was Maya Grawl, and received a for Kumgang a 6.0.
차렷 준비 시작.
About 11 of these athletes are in about that 6-point range. We have quite a few more in the 4 and 5-point range, and a nice chunk in the over 7 grouping.
Right, so I do feel pretty confident in saying that if you have a 7 or higher, you're probably going to move to the semifinals. We have, this is Maya here's the 43rd competitor out of 65. We're taking the top 33. So high 6s. For now, you're also going through, but keep checking in to make sure where your standing is.
Yeah, we just don't know at this point. The rest of the athletes could come in with 7.5, 7, 8. We just don't know. So we're guessing at this point, just like you probably are with your pen and pad at home. She finishes up with a 6.23 in Taegu Paljung and a combined score for Maya Grawl of 6.12. Next up, we'll have Millie Johnson. That's a nice backdrop. Does very well. She is from U.S. World Class Taekwondo in Troutdale, Oregon, and she is coached by Master Jorge Ortiz.
Another high bun. I'm always interested to see how everyone does their hair. I have hair role models of Kathy Do and Tuan Nguyen.
Oh yeah, they always look great. They look regal.
They really do.
And they come from the Claire Kim family of looking regal on the wings. She's one of our first U.S. National Poomsae team members. She started in the Senior 1 division, and she always looked like a princess when she walked on to the ring. Just an absolute gem. And then Paul Nguyen and Kathy Do definitely looking at the same level as her, just looking really great. And it's just funny that they all ended up on the same female women's team in 2020.
Right, if you get a chance, go back and watch the Grand Slam Senior 2 women's team. They compete together and they just did a great job. It was a really competitive division and really fun to watch. And I also enjoyed watching Millie here doing her Kumgang.
And Millie Johnson receives a 6.23 for Kumgang. Nice solid score.
준비.
Very consistent among the judges.
시작.
Nice high kick and saves that recovery after it.
Looks like nice long legs. Might want to bend that front knee just a little bit more, especially at the end of that 8 count.
That height of that kick looks like it's effortless for her. So good job to Millie Johnson on really working that front kick in very nicely here on these Poomsae.
Hello. 차렷. 힘내.
And Millie Johnson for Taegu Paljung receives a 6.7 and a total score. That's so much higher than her first one, almost a full half point. and she received a 6.47 for her total score. So really did a good job of boosting her score up there from 6.47.
준비.
So here we are with Valerie Larson.
Stop.
Our number 45th, however you want to say that, competitor in the female black belt cadet division. So off to a strong start with Kumgang.
And a very familiar dojang here we just saw, the U.S. Taekwondo Center in Colorado.
Right, she's coached by Master Sean Jung, also a competitor, so that's always kind of fun to both be competing and coaching at the same time. So I applaud his effort because it's no small task to train yourself and then at the same time train a team of athletes. Valerie is looking really strong and composed here in Kumgang. Taking her time, making sure she's balanced. Nice and steady on that Haktari Sogi.
Valerie also competes in demo team with her team there out of Colorado, and at nationals they got 3rd place in demo team. So that's always a lot of fun. We don't get to see that now on these tournaments, but if you're ever at nationals and you have a chance, watch the demo teams. They have lots of flipping and board breaking, and it's lots of fun.
That's a lot. And another big time commitment for both her coach and herself to put into Taekwondo. So it's awesome. You can do both, compete in Poomsae and also participate on her demo team. She receives a 6.63 Kumgang. And I'm sure both of those endeavors help each other, right? So the stronger she gets in demo, helps the Poomsae, stronger in, back and forth.
Absolutely, and I feel like demo team and freestyle also go hand in hand. So lots of areas to compete in and just push your growth in all areas. She also lives in Colorado, like we said, so she enjoys a lot of outdoor sports. She says she likes hiking and paddle boarding. And as these athletes get older and they are doing other sports, I think they'll find a lot of crossover between Poomsae, sparring, and their other sports. I was just kayaking the other day, and I was noticing how much I'm using my core in doing the paddling. So a lot of crossover between all the sports. I think just being active and healthy is a really good goal.
차렷, 경례.
And that was Valerie Larson finishing up her Poomsae and receiving her second score here of 6.83. So she's high in these sixes here, which could definitely play a part into who is moving on to semifinals. She received a total score of 6.73.
And that's probably going to be on the cusp there. And here we have Ciara.
Stop.
Ahmed. Again, from the same club, coached by Master Sean Jung.
And Ciara did not submit any fun facts. So Valerie, the next time you see Ciara, tell her next time she has to tell us all the fun facts about her so that we can talk about her on the commentary.
But I heard from others that she is very fun.
Well, she does say, so she has to.
Her factor is super high. She just, that day, she was having too much fun to share her.
And especially with 3 of these cadets in this division so far, they could definitely put together some good teams, all with Sean Jung as their coach, similar styles. I think that it would be really fun for them.
We saw the same thing yesterday at the Male Cadet. We had about 4 or 5 athletes from Master Seth Wilson's club, and I was mentioning they all seem to have similar body type, frame. So that would be great for them to put together a team. So Ciara Maraz gets a 5.97 in Kumgang, and now off to Paul Jung.
She has a nice long stance here, but that front knee could be bent just a little bit more. Sometimes the length of your feet are in the right places. You just have to really engage that quad and bend your knee some more.
Yeah, a little more extension on that back leg would make it look a little bit more solid, but nice high front kick there. And another one, look at that. She's got really great flexibility.
Yeah, really good front kicks. Those push blocks are pretty far away from her body. That's supposed to be only like a fist or two away, so pulling those in a little bit, we may see some accuracy hits on those.
바로 절약 경례.
So Ciara receives a 6.4 for taking Paul Jung, a nice boost there for her second form, and almost like a 0.4 from the last one. So she receives a 6.18 on her final score.
준비.
Here's another familiar Taekwondo club setting. This is Jinseo Park Taekwondo in Georgia, and she's coached by Master Sunjin Kim. So she has quite a few teammates there that competed in the 18 to 30 male-female divisions and also the cadet male division. So lots of good role models for Jinseo Park to help her with her Kumgang. Looks like she has a really strong start in this Poomsae.
Yeah, really nice high knee, that thigh's parallel to the ground. Trying to really stay low in those stances. Couple bobbles here and there, but not too bad. And Jinseo competed in the 2020 US Open in team freestyle, where she got a gold medal. So that air track in the background there must get a lot of work as they work on freestyle techniques.
She has some of the deeper horse stances here in the group. There was one other athlete earlier, round number 16, 17, 18. Maybe you can remind me, Miyako, who that might have been, but very low stance.
I remember Naomi O had some low stances, but I don't remember where she was.
Right, number 28. So that's right. So Jinseo Park, same kind of look. It's a 6.63 for Kumgang.
Looks like one of the younger athletes in this division just coming in.
Yeah, very petite, very lightweight, and still able to look very grounded, especially in this part of Paul Jung.
She had a really nice transition on that 270 after the 8 count. A lot of athletes will have a double pivot there without realizing it. And she had one single pivot, so some nice training and work went into that.
Nice quick turn on this final line here.
바로.
A nice steady, good solid form for Jinseo Park. And for her Paul Jung, she'll be rewarded with a score of 7.17. Nice high score for Jinseo Park, and combined score of 6.9.
So like we mentioned, we have 65 athletes. Here are those rankings. We're taking the top 33 athletes. So right now that cutoff is Mia Gloria with a 5.85, but remember, we still have many more athletes to go, close to about 18 or so.
And here's Lauren Matsuda. Looks like she has a nice training space in her garage that she's converted. Nice for her parents to give up that space. She's a California athlete. She trains with the Team M Community Poomsae program. She's coached by An Hui and Long Nguyen. Looks like she has just enough space in there, about 4 mats across, maybe 4 mats forward. It's hard to tell. Yeah, 4 mats forward. So just enough room to be comfortable as she's going through the Poomsae, especially Kumgang. You want a little bit more width in the space, and looks like she has just enough room.
Yeah, that's the same number of mats I have in my backyard.
She had a little bit of a tilt on the landing from that first turn, and now she's recovered and throwing strong on the second half of the Poomsae here.
Nice red mats to match her red pants. And white walls to match her white top.
Yeah, nice setting. Red and white, nice and clean looking. So for Lauren Matsuda, her first Poomsae, she earns a nice score of, and here we go, 6.87. Very good.
And these high sixes will be near that cutoff, so we'll have to keep checking in to see who's going to make it into the semifinals.
Now we talked a little bit before, Miyako, about how power looks on a video here or on your screen as opposed to in person. So if you're the first, this is the first time you're watching an episode of Summer of Poomsae, just realize sometimes in video it looks like it's less powerful than it actually would look like in person. Maybe 20% less, are you thinking, Miyako? Maybe take 20% off of that?
Yeah, maybe even a little more. I think what can help is if there's good sound. So if you're making a lot of noise with your uniform, you're strong enough to make those snaps, then that will come across in the audio. But you do have to have somewhat of a smaller space for the sound to echo. If you're in a really big gym like you would be at nationals, then you won't hear that sound. So that's another really important part of the recording that we haven't thought about in, large tournament venues before, but now is really important to help show that power.
And she receives 6.63. So Lauren Matsuda, actually her score dropped a little bit between those two forms. She ends up with a 6.75.
평예. 준비.
I think that's what was nice when we all got to go compete at the athlete training center, and we were doing basically our national team selection there. The venue is just the perfect size in Colorado for us to be able to get that sound across to the judges, really show the snap and the power. That felt really comfortable in that space.
Right, and the judges were just basically there sitting on the wall right next to you. So there's not a whole lot of extra space there in the center of excellence, but that really puts them like right in the middle of the action.
And the camera was a huge part of the action. It seemed like the camera was almost in the same space that we were competing in. Mm-hmm. It seemed as if you could just reach out and touch it. So they were doing a really good job of recording the event so everybody can watch it while it was happening. So that was a lot of fun and a different kind of pressure, a kind of fun pressure there to be in such a small space surrounded by all the athletes, the referee's so close, and the camera's right there.
Plus all those fancy lights, and then we had Jason and Sherman, coaches, coming out in their fancy suits. So really great experience if you get to go back, watch some Grand Slam videos. If you get a chance to go train, really do it. And this is Christina Chavez with a 6.2 on her Kumgang. And while we're talking about that, Coach Brand, one of the other pathways in this new pathway system is to get noticed by a national team coach and then be nominated to go to one of those athlete training camps, which I assume will be at the Center of Excellence. I'm not actually sure on that, so don't quote me. But being able to be identified as an athlete to watch and get to go to a training camp with the best athletes as well as the national team coaches, you could learn a lot.
That's right. That's something to really look forward to in 2020 as circumstances allow. I'm expecting some good camp opportunities for some of these athletes who are being identified through these different events. I remember the last event at the Athlete Center, Miyako. I think we both had an opportunity to chop it up with Master Jason Poos. So we not only did some competition action, but also got to jump into the booth with him, and that was a lot of fun. 6.3 for Christina Chavez on Taegeuk Paljung and received a total score of 6.25.
And we move on to our 50th athlete. This is Ali Kolbach, and we saw one of her teammates in this same space here. It's a cool dojang entrance there with those windows leading out to the street and those horizontal bars. So here is Ali's kumgang. And we saw Haley earlier, same last name. So Haley and Ali must be sisters here in this cadet division.
I was just looking that up. They look very, very similar. Maybe a little bit of height difference between the two. Maybe looks just a little bit tinier, very petite.
Well, Coach Brand, because I have this information, I can tell you that Ali Kolbach's birthday is February 1st, 2008. And her sister, Haley's Kolbach's birthday is February 1st, 2008. So they are twins.
Oh, that's awesome.
Doing some research here, digging up the details.
I'm going to say she looks just a little bit tinier.
Yeah, her sister did look to be a little bit taller, but that could be a disadvantage in kumgang. It's not always easy to be tall.
Yeah, it's nice. I like her frame for this form. Nice and easy and agile movement for her. That was Ali Kolbach getting a score of 5.93 for kumgang.
And both Haley and Ali are members of M-Team's Community Poomsae program. They're the Nguyen brothers, coaches Hui Long and On. They work with athletes from around the state, but some from around the country as well. And they do trainings together and they do teams together. So I think it's a really great opportunity here for Haley and Ali to get to train with the M-Team and learn from them and possibly even get to do some teams with them in the future maybe.
Looks like she's really comfortable boosting up from the floor and all of the front kicks here. Probably her strongest technique at this point is her ability to get high in the air and pretty quick. She's got some pretty good speed on that front kick. That was Ali Kolbach finishing up after a 5.93 score for kumgang. For her paljung, she receives a 6.5. So nice little boost there. So she'll receive a combined score of 6.22. So where for a while we were not getting many sixes, we're getting a big chunk of them right here.
Right, and that was our 50th competitor, so we're down to our last 15 here, Coach Brand, which means we're gonna start to get close as we look for that cutoff into the semifinals.
Right, here's Gahui Kim from Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia. And of course, her coach is Master Sungjin Kim. Really quick turns on kumgang and take a more aggressive pace.
And one of the things, if your parents are watching this, watch the curve in the back on some of these sitting stances. It does make it harder to hold your balance on the crane stances, on the spins, and on the stomps. So really tucking in your stomach, doing like an ab crunch, will help keep those hips more underneath your back, and your stability will overall be better.
Nice and steady here through this 8 count, holding on here.
Hello.
And that is Gahui Kim from Kim's Cave Taekwondo in Georgia.
Sure.
And her score is rolling in here at 7.17. Wow, very well rewarded for that Kumgang.
Yeah, nice high score for Kumgang.
준비.
At this point, definitely looking like she's going to make that cut. And here she is starting off on table pole jump, reaching nice and high. Looks like she feels super confident here.
She has nice upper body control on her front kicks. There's not too much motion, a little bit of the head coming forward, but the upper body itself doesn't move. So that's good posture, just a little bit more to work on there.
Yeah, just a little slight nod on that head as she's going through that final extension of the front kick.
Hello.
But a good form.
Sure.
So Gahui Kim, she received a 7.17 for that first Poomsae, Kumgang, and now receives a higher score, 7.2. So probably definitely over the amount she's going to need to move herself into the semifinals. So she finishes with a 7.18.
This is a nice living room space here from Chloe Tan. Chloe is from California and trains with Taekwondo Kids, coached by Master Bo Hyun Kim. And just so you guys know, Coach Brand had to go pop off to teach. She is a coach after all, so she's gonna go work with her students now. So thank you, Coach Brand, for taking the time to go through this female cadet division with me. We have just about 13 more athletes to go. My name is Miyako Yerick, and I will be with you for these last athletes. That was a nice Kumgang from Chloe Tan. And she gets a 6.77. A couple of hits on the accuracy there, but overall a pretty good form. Chloe is from Palo Alto, and outside of Taekwondo, she likes traveling, biking, and baking. And there were those front kicks. We didn't quite get to see them over her head. It looks like she landed that back stance on her heel. One thing to really work on is landing your toes first and then your heel as you do these stance transitions, especially as you do the back stance to front stance. But Chloe gets a 7.03 on her second form, so a nice rise there, which gives her a total of 6.9. And that'll be near the cutoff but she should be into the semifinals. We'll find out once we see those rankings.
시작!
This is Jamie Bang. She is from Texas, and she trains at US White Tiger in Plano, and she is coached by Master Jong Hoon Bang. So that might be her dad who is her coach. And I like her hairstyle. This is a nice little bow there on top. When I do female team, my team does a bun and then we do a bow underneath, but I sort of like it on top. It's cute. I don't think I could get away with it, but Jamie here looks really nice. We see another air track there in the background, as well as a rock wall. So that's a cool dojang. I don't know if that's their home dojang with the basketball nets, the rock wall, the air track. Seems like a cool place to go to in Texas. And Jamie gets a 6.4 on her second form. Oh, sorry, on her first form. That was Kumgang. And here she goes into Paljang.
시작!
Nice high extension on the front kick coming forward. Those punches, it's really hard. With us having this view from the front, you really need to make sure that those punches are centered and not in line with your shoulder. So even if it was at the right height of solar plexus, making sure that it's in the center line of your body. There is another one we saw, just not quite centered. Another push block's just a little bit too far away from the body. Should be about a fist or two away from your chest. Let's see what the judges think of Jamie's second form.
첫! 견해!
She gets a 6.47, so I believe just a couple hundredths higher than her first form. So her total is a 6.43. And here are those rankings. Remember, we're looking for the top 33 athletes to move on to the semis. So for right now, that 33rd spot, there's a tie for 32nd, so you need at least a 6.25. But we still have another 11 athletes to go. So if you're in the mid sixes, you're probably looking okay, but keep checking back because again, we have those 11 left to go.
Hi everyone, my name is Anwin and I would be representing the under 40 divisions individual for this past World Championship. And I just want to share my quick feeling about when I made the team. The first word come to my mind was finally. It meant a lot to me just because after I would say 7 try at the national championship team trial, I finally make the team. So it meant a lot to me. It shows my athlete and my brothers that dedication actually pay off. And so what happened? Like, how did I find out? So I had to remind myself, like, I think I was scrolling down Facebook or maybe some messenger here and there. I think I got some flyers saying that it got postponed, but it could eventually cancel. So I was shocked a little bit because we all prep everything, we train, we book ticket, hotels already booked. We were planning it on to where to go, like do a sightseeing kind of thing. It was totally shocked when I saw that. So first thing come to my mind was, okay, all right, it's canceled. It might get canceled. So what we need to do is to first of all, calm ourselves down a little bit and think, what is the positive outcome of that, right? So first thing come to my mind was like, hey, I got to relax. I got to chill a little bit, take some time off of competition, and spend some time with my family. So, and also at the same time, I think the SIP order was already placed. So I think it makes sense. So I try to think of the positive outcome of the cancellation. But I know there's a lot of effort, a lot of cheer, a lot of times that we spend into training. And so of course, you gotta feel like, dang it, what happened? I trained so hard, but it's okay. I think at the end, I think we and the WT made a right decision to cancel this event. Okay, so what happened afterward? What did I do? So we kind of took a break for, I would say, two weeks of non-training at all, not even coaching. And we thought it was like a vacation, a good vacation for us to take a break up from just competition training in general. And after that, we pick up again. And of course, we don't have the facility we used to train at. So it's a little difficult for us in the beginning. So, and then Zoom came along, and we were able to leverage that technology and provide coaching training through Zoom. We as coaches, two other brothers, Coach Wang and Coach Hui, so we also need to train ourselves to keep us motivated and keep us in that environment of again we are training and coaching. So we pick a day, say Monday is like non-training day. We would train ourselves, and then on the other day we would, okay guys, let's get into Zoom, let's train a little bit here and there. So, and we don't do like 4 or 5 days training as before. We do more like 1 or 2 days a week, just so that we get everyone engaged again. We want to slowly ramp things up again, right? And again, it's not the same anymore. So we try different things. We try to work with other school to bring more athletes to join the class. We have cross training. We invite international athletes that in our network, and just share knowledge. So hopefully the athlete will feel like, okay, even though we are by ourselves training, look at the camera, look at the laptop, but it's still fun in a way. So, and for us, I think that's a win right there. And so we hopefully keeping this momentum up until it's over. And actually I like this Summer of Poomsae because it motivate everyone to train. And when we train on a Monday night, we know, okay, we need to train because there's a 8.0 event coming up. So it's kind of good in a way where it's kind of clicking together all at once. So hopefully this will like a basic foundation that we built so that we can survive in this whole pandemic. All right, so what kind of advice should I provide to the rest of the athlete at this point about this whole pandemic thing and toward this competition? I think we shouldn't take this lightly, even though it's a virtual competition and you kind of upload the video here and there. I experienced a lot of athletes, even myself, tried to cram in last minute and it didn't work out. You just get so tired, your legs give up, and you just gotta submit whatever you have. So try make sure you do it early enough so that you have time for yourself to redo. And for training purpose, I think just keep on going and look at the art of Taekwondo. Don't think, okay, I need to train to compete in the next event, but train to that so that you understand more about Taekwondo. It's not just about high side kick, powerful Poomsae, right? It's more of like, hey, how can I get myself disciplined? How can I understand the art of Taekwondo where I can learn how to do a quick sparring drill, how to do footwork, know how to do demo kick, learn basic stuff about Taekwondo in general, then it will, open the door for everyone to say, oh, there's more to just competition. So you might not get used to, because you at the end of the road, you might get sick of it. Like for me, competing in like 15, 20 years already in this Taekwondo environment, I always remind myself that, you know what, hey, Taekwondo is more than just competing. So hopefully everyone will, just step outside the box a little bit and think about that, and drive your training forward. And hopefully we'll see you guys more in the future in this virtual competition. Thank you and goodbye.
Here we have Anushka Acharya. She's from Connecticut and trains at World Champion Taekwondo in Woodbridge, coached by Master Henny Kim and Master Gunsu Kim. We've also seen this dojang before, seeing that nice big air track there in the background. Looks like a lot of fun to train on. And Anushka went to nationals in 2019 and got 3rd place in board breaking. She's also competed in Cadet Pairs Poomsae at nationals in 2019 and Team Poomsae at various tournaments. So lots of divisions, Poomsae, individual teams, pairs, as well as board breaking. That's a lot of fun. So I'm glad that she's able to try all of those Poomsae divisions out. Some nice low stances here, some wobbles, but a pretty parallel thigh there to the ground. So Kumgang score should be okay. Make sure that you keep working on smoothing out those spins so that the transitions are clean. And she gets a 6.93. So a pretty high score there. That should definitely get her into the semis if her Paljong score is similar or higher. Anushka also says that one of her favorite hobbies outside of Taekwondo is tennis. And she's hoping to join her high school varsity tennis team when she goes back to school, and was sad to miss out on the 2020 season. But she's found that there are a lot of similarities between tennis and Poomsae. I definitely agree. You want that nice, smooth, soft stroke, but still have power at the end. I think that's very common for a lot of these defensive blocks, which we're seeing right here in this bar. And she's doing a really good job at volume of motion and a good stop, nice high front kicks. So I do think that this is a nice form for Anushka, and we should see another high score in the either high 6s or possibly even low 7s.
Hello.
And here we go. The judges give her a 7.27. So yeah, definitely seeing some really nice volume there on the hands, as well as good front kicks. 7.27 on the second form gives her a total of 7.1. And that will definitely see her into the semifinals run. Up next in the same exact dojan as her teammate, we now have Sydney Abadientos. And again, this is in Connecticut. We have training at World Champion Taekwondo New Fairfield, and their coach is Master Kim and another Master Kim, Master Gunsu Kim. And Sydney went to the 2020 US Open, which was at that Disney World sports venue. And she won a bronze medal in female cadet team. So she must do team with some of her teammates. We just saw Anushka, so I wonder if they are teammates. Here we have Sydney. She looks a little bit taller, so she's gonna have to sink lower and really be aware of her arms. Some of those crane stances, the high block was a little bit low. You do want about a fist space in between the top of your head and your block. So just an inch or two space here. I should be able to see the red between her hand and her head, and I'm not quite seeing that.
바로
So we'll see if the judges note that and take any counts off.
시작. 경례. 퇴장.
She gets a 6.83, so a couple deductions from the referee and judge 1 on accuracy, but overall a pretty solid high 6 there on her kumgang.
시작.
She has nice long legs, so hopefully we'll get some deep front stances here. I wish she would bend that front knee just a little bit more. Keep the hips moving here, but good length at least on the setup. Outside of Taekwondo training, Sydney likes to solve Rubik's Cubes and create web comics. So that's super cool. I think these push blocks also, again, we're seeing this with a few athletes, just a little bit too far away from the body. The push block should be about 2 fists away from your chest. So if your elbow is not very bent, it is too far away from your body. But overall, really nice form here from Sydney. Judges give her a 6.63, so we did take some accuracy hits, especially from referee and judge 1, both at 2.6. So her total score comes to a 6.73. We'll see if that gets her into those semifinals. We don't know that cut yet, but it's going to be close.
시작.
This is our 56th athlete here. We have Julia Cho from New York, trains at Miracles Taekwondo, coached by Master Suji Kang, again, that 4-time world champion from Korea. So great coaches. We've seen a couple of her teammates in this division already, and she's coming out pretty strong. Couple little balance checks there. You really have to engage your core as you go through these motions in this form. Julia's birthday is coming up next month in just a few weeks, so she is still 11 years old. She'll be turning 12 in a few weeks, so happy early birthday, Julia. Last year at 2019 Nationals, she was in the youth division and she was the national bronze medalist. So just aging up into this division here in cadets and coming out nice and strong with that kumgang.
Sure.
And she gets a 6.97. A little bit of range in scores there, both across the accuracy and presentation, but a good solid score on kumgang. Outside of Taekwondo, Julia plays the cello, and she's part of the New York Laureate Orchestra, which focuses on community services. And during COVID quarantine, she's participated in virtual concerts for senior citizens for the Korean community. So that's really cool. I particularly like the cello. I also grew up playing in middle school and high school, and my husband plays the cello now. So I think it's a really lovely tune, and I hope that, Julia, you stay with it. We are seeing some extra movement here in her head, a little bit of hunching of the shoulders as she really pushes the height of those front kicks. So something to keep working on as she ages into this division here.
바로 경례.
This is Julia Cho. She just did Paljung and gets a 7.03. So her second form, bringing her score up just a little bit. So her total is a 7.00. Again, that should be enough to bump her up into the semifinals. We will check in just a couple of athletes. Here we go. We have Haley Ferguson. Haley is from South Carolina. Also a birthday buddy of mine, February 6th. She trains at Master Kim's World Class Taekwondo, coached by Master J. Kim. And Haley competed in 2018 at the US Open and Nationals, where she received a silver medal. And in 2019, she got bronze medals at the US Open and Nationals. So competing at US Open, she's got to go to Disney, which sounds like a lot of fun. I missed that tournament. It was just before we went into lockdown. And she's also testing for her 3rd degree black belt. So young athlete here, just 12 years old, already a 3rd degree black belt, and showing us her kumgang. She has really good awareness of her upper body and where those arms are finishing on some of these bigger motions.
Photo.
Pretty good control overall. I'm excited to see her score here.
Sure.
Yep, 7.13. So judges agreeing, nice volume, good control. Not the highest score that we've seen. Again, she's one of the smaller athletes, so maybe not quite as much power as some of the others, but a good score. Definitely we'll see her again in the semis if her Paljong is similar in score. Outside of Taekwondo, Haley enjoys painting. So I think maybe some of these athletes can get together. We have a lot of artists and a lot of musicians. It's nice to learn about their other hobbies. Really work on keeping those hands on the body as you do those last 2 front kicks with the jump. But good control here. We did have a bit of extra upper body movement as she tried to generate some power in this form. So let's see what the judges think about her second form. 7.27. So a little bit of a variance there in the scores, 2.9 to 3.4 in the accuracy. But overall, that 7.27 really nice. Total score of 7.2 for Haley Ferguson. Here we have Jacqueline Rivera. She is our 58th competitor, so we are getting close, everyone. Jackie is from New York, trains at Team Champions Bayside. Again, a very familiar dojang that we've seen here, coached by Master Andrew O. I think Jackie could open up her horse stances, just make them a little bit wider. Needs to work on a little bit more stability and then getting that knee up a little higher so that her thigh is parallel to the ground, and that will help her accuracy overall. It was a better pickup. Thighs a little bit higher too. A little bit of a sink there at the end of the 8 count. Yeah, so I think work on opening up those horse stances a little bit, work on that stability on some of those 8 counts, and our score will go up a little bit more in the future. And she gets a 6.5 on her kumgang.
준비. 시작.
Nice high front kick there on that opening bar. Here we got a nice hip turn. I've been talking about that all episode. So nice, make sure that you have an 8 count with those hips rotating. Let's see this side. Really good push here. Maybe not quite as much in the last couple seconds, but really nice first half turn there. not quite getting a full extension on the base leg on the front kick, so that bottom leg is bent a little bit. Oh, looks like we lost a little bit there, at least on my version. I lost the end of the form, but she gets a 0 out there, so they must have also missed the end there. So low score on that second one. Her total score comes to a 4.67. So we must have lost the last bar on that form for Jackie, which really hurt the accuracy score, bringing the whole thing down. Just make sure that as you're recording your forms, one, you're all in frame, but then also that you get the whole form in the recording so that you don't lose points for something that you probably did the whole form, but it just didn't record. Here you have Sela Newcomer. She lives in Oregon and attends U.S. World-Class Taekwondo in Troutdale, coached by Mr. Jorge Ortiz. Again, a nice dojang that we've seen a couple of times, so she also has teammates competing in this tournament. Looks like her legs are pretty long. I can see that her draping knee there is almost parallel, but it's pretty low on her shin. So that resting leg, your foot should be basically around your knee level. So she could raise her leg a little bit more. We'll get to see another one coming up right here. Yeah, so she should just lift that knee a little bit higher so that the foot's resting closer to the knee and the thighs parallel to the ground. Just one of those things as you're growing and your joints are getting longer. She has really long legs. It's hard to know where to put them. And she gets a 5.37, so taking some accuracy hits there from a couple of the judges.
Cadet, 준비. 시작.
She just earned her black belt, first Poom, in November of 2019, so not even a year yet, and had to learn all of these forms to compete with them. And outside of Taekwondo, she enjoys playing the piano, baking, and going on hikes. Here we go, those nice long legs, doing some front kicks here. Really good extension. Definitely going to be one of the strengths for her form here. Going to really be sure that you practice cheating over so that you can finish on your mark, either on that jump or in the middle bar with the front kicks, cheating your way over to don't lose any points by missing your mark at the end. You have to finish where you start on these Poomsae. And she gets a 5.87 on her second form for a total of 5.62. And here we go. Okay, we're looking for those 33 top spots. So take a note of where you are, and we'll take a note of what the score is right now to make it into the semis. That 33rd spot right now is a 6.43 or higher, and we still have 6 athletes to go.
준비. 시작.
And here we have our 60th athlete. We have Aubrey Yamashita from California. She's a member of Sky Martial Arts and Team M's Poomsae Community Poomsae Program, the CPP. And her coaches are Master Jun Yoon and coaches An Hui and Long Win. Aubrey just competed in her very first nationals in 2019, so only one experience at nationals, and she made it to the semifinals. So I think working with M-Team and the CPP program has really helped her because she looks very solid here in this Kumgang. Looks like she's done a lot of work over the last year. Good control coming through for Aubrey, and pretty solid. We're not seeing too many balance checks, not too many wiggles on these crane stances.
Hello.
So let's see what the judges think of Aubrey's kumgang.
Sure.
She gets a 6.53, so accuracy a little bit lower there, preventing her from getting up into the 7s, but a 6.53 on her kumgang. And here we go with Paljang.
시작.
Nice high front kicks and centered punches. So starting out good. Nice deep front stance here, although we are seeing that front knee pull back as she turns here. So really engaging that knee, keeping it really forward for the whole 8 count. Otherwise, a good long stance. Really nice front kicks. Watch the length of the tiger stances here. They're not always pulling back enough. You want to make sure that your heel and toe are in line. There should be no gap like there is in a walking stance.
Hello.
And all these athletes could do to cheat a little bit more. Get back to your spot. I think you're probably within an okay distance, but an inch or two more would have been a major deduction there. So she gets a 7.0 on her Paljang. That's way higher. It's almost a half a point jump from her kumgang to her Paljang. So her total score will be a 6.77, which for now looks like it should get her into the semis, but we still have 5 more athletes to go.
시작.
Here we have Lana Moraleda. She's from California, member of Doanguli USA Poomsae team, coached by Poomsae Master Lee. Nice, really clean background there. Just a clean white wall lets us focus on this athlete. And Lana is both a 2019 and 2020 National Poomsae team member in the cadet team division. She also competed in the second WTPA Poomsae online virtual test event for the Pan Am region in the individual division and got a bronze medal. So she just has a lot of experience here, both international and online, for such a young athlete. She also competed in the Poomsae World Cup Championships in Wuxi, China last year, where her team won the gold medal. So really experienced athlete here. Lana Moraleda coming out with a nice strong kumgang from Team Doanguli USA. And she gets a 7.23. So not the highest score we've seen on kumgang, but definitely enough to get her a ride to the semis if her Paljang is on track.
시작.
Nice stance. I'm watching that front knee. Not too much movement. Very good. We are seeing a lot of really great front kicks in this division. And those push blocks coming in to a better distance than from some athletes we've seen. So nice placement on the arms, good volume of motion, and nice long stances. Once again, this is Lana Moraleda from Thousand Oaks, California, member of Doanguli USA Poomsae team. And on her Paljang, the judges give her a 7.4. So nice high score. Definitely going to bring up her total score here, and will guarantee her a spot in that semifinals with a 7.32. Just 4 more athletes here to go, everyone. And then we will have that listing of who's going to the semis. Here we have Sruthi Venkataraman. She is from Texas, member of NTA Capel, and coached by Master 2 Doolittle, who is also a competitor that we've seen over the years, been on the national team, owns a dojang now out there in Texas. So really great to see some of her students now starting to compete as well. Sruthi here showing some nice big volume of motion on her hands and some low stances. Good parallel thigh here. So she has a lot of really great basics coming through. Quick spin. Sruthi has been a 5-time national medalist, and in 2019 won a bronze medal at the President's Cup. So lots of experience already at her young age, and she just completed Kumgang. Let's see what the judges think. She gets a 6.7, so a little bit lower in the accuracy than some other athletes, but a 6.7 will probably get her to final or semifinals. So let's see here how she does in Paljang. Nice high front kicks. Not the most aggressive tempo, being a little bit careful here, but accuracy should be pretty good, holding that knee on the front stance. She is getting some forward and back movement on her body on that knee, so really trying to hold that steady will give her better score. Front kicks so high they're going out of my screen. Wow, look at those. And maybe it's because Sruthi does traditional Indian dance, classical Indian dance, so maybe that helps her with her kicking, because it looks great.
Hello.
And her score is a 6.9, so a little bit higher there on her second form, which will bring her total score to a 6.8. That one will also be close. We'll have to see if she makes it into the semifinals here. We have just 3 more athletes to go, everyone. I hope you're taking notes. I'm taking notes. And here we have Maya Perez from Oregon. Again, we've seen this dojang many times. She is from USWC Taekwondo, coached by Master Jason Lee. Maya is on the leadership team at her studio, and she helps out with all the fundraisers in the community for lots of different things. Looks like some back to school supplies as well as a toy drive. She just started competing in some state championships in the Pan Am Open Festival in Poomsae, where she won gold, and is training and working on self-confidence to compete in future tournaments. So Maya, I think this is a great opportunity to start working on that confidence and do some tournaments where there's no pressure. You're just at home in your dojang, your friends are there cheering for you. There's no pressure of seeing the judges. They're all at home on their couches doing their scoring. So I hope that you're enjoying this experience, Maya, and hopefully getting some good tips on competitions for the future.
Cadet Junior.
And she gets a 6.47 on her Kumgang.
Cadet 준비. 시작.
A little bit of a stumble there. Judges might take a major for it. If you pick your foot up and then put it back down, it's usually a major. So we'll see what the accuracy score looks like. She does have nice long legs here, so good length on the front stance, but could bend that front knee a little bit more. Again, watch that double pivot there on that 270 spin. Outside of Taekwondo, Maya enjoys playing games and going for walks. She also plays soccer, and she likes to draw, paint, and make arts and crafts. I also enjoy doing arts and crafts. I feel like I have a lot of things in common with all these Poomsae athletes, whether it's music or baking, arts and crafts, riding horses. Here we go. Maya Perez gets a 6.13 on her Paljong, and her total score will be a 6.3. Here we go. Just 2 more athletes to go, everyone. We are so close to finding out who makes the semifinals. Here we have Emily Wolszczuk, and she is from New Jersey. She trains at Korea Taekwondo Center headquarters, coached by Master Hee-sung Moon. Want to maybe sit a little bit lower in these crane stances. Again, we want that leg to be bent, should be at the same height as these horse stances. So there should be no upward movement when you do your crane stance. And that knee that's bent should be parallel to the ground. So your thigh parallel to the ground, knee a little bit higher. So we'll probably see some accuracy deductions here on Emily's form. And those crane stances should be 8 seconds. There is some leeway. You can go 7 to 9 seconds, so 1 second on either side for no deductions. But if you do head down into the 6 seconds instead of 8, you will take a minor for each second that it's off. Emily here gets a 5.67 on her kumgang. A little bit of a spread there in the accuracy. Judge 1 taking off some extra points. And here is Emily's Paljong.
시작.
I think if she just sits a little bit lower so that she's nice and grounded for all of these stances, she's coming up and down, sinking into them after she lands. So just staying nice and low for all of these transitions will help the presentation. Landing a little bit cross-legged there, not quite the space that we want, but getting back to her mark. Punch a little bit high there as well. You want that to be solar plexus high, not shoulder height. And let's see what the judges think for Emily. And she gets a 6.07 on her second form. So her total score will be a 5.87. And that was a nice jump up in scores to bring her total score up from the first to the second form. And everybody, we have our last competitor here. We have Aubrey Nix, who is from Arizona, another member of the Arizona Pride team, coached by Master Ruben Lawley and Master Megan Yee. Little bit of upward motion as she transitions through some of these stances, but she is making her sitting stances really low, so it's a little bit harder for her to hold, but a nice good level thigh there on this first crane stance, or second crane stance. But yeah, work on staying grounded on those spins. A little bit of a bobble here. think it's hard with all the stomping. You want to make your energy and your power come from going down, but you really want your arm motions and all of your upper body power to be coming across. All of these motions on the spins, on the hits, your arm power needs to go across, not down. So keeping that body going, just gliding across the floor. And let's see here how Aubrey does on her first form. This is the second to last form. We're so close to getting to know if you're going to make it into the semis here. She gets a 6.9. It's a nice high score. She can keep that up on her Paljung. She should make it through, but we'll have to check those final standings. Nice quick double punches. That's something I always look for, is how fast are those double punches in comparison to that out to in middle block. So having a nice contrast there is always something nice for presentation. We're missing that shape on the front kick. Should be aiming with the ball of her foot. We are seeing a little bit too much bend at the ankle. And this elbow strike here should be at the face. It should be at the philtrum, not at the shoulder. I haven't seen the judges take off any deductions for that. Multiple athletes have done it, but it's just something to keep in mind. That elbow and the last poom there should be at face height. Aubrey here pulls in another 6.9 for a total score of 6.9. And here we go. Have your pause button ready. Have your camera ready. Here's our final standings. Megan, Kim, Juliana, Michaela, Sydney take the top 4 spots. And we're going to take the top 33 athletes. So everybody here, you're going through to the semifinals. And here we go. That 33rd spot is taken by Gian Legaspi with a 6.68. Very similar score actually to the men's cadet division. And here is everybody else's score. Really good job. Congratulations to everybody who competed. This was a really stacked division. We had 65 athletes. So I'm so glad that everybody took the time to compete. Everybody here gets ranking points. So everybody here will receive points as we work towards trying to make that 2021 National Poomsae team.
Wow, welcome back. Sherm, a ton of Kumgong and Taegugate at the highest level. The balance control of those athletes to hold that leg up in Kumgong for, 4-8 seconds, things like that. Amazing. No wobbling, whatever. These kids are just absolutely amazing. That's all I have to say.
We have a bunch of young athletes who have learned how to perform like adult athletes. You watch the transition and the rotation. Their rotation is tight. The balance is good. They land steady and stable. It's a testament to the growth and development of our Poomsae program, number one. All the way from our head coach, all the way down, but to our club owners who are now not looking at Poomsae as a secondary thing, but as a primary thing. And it's getting its just due. So congratulations to the 33 cadet female competitors who are advancing to the semifinals, where we will have more action. That was, again, much like in episode 1, that was a whole lot of Poomsae.
It was a ton. You're right. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the club coaches have really made it a primary objective to make Poomsae one of their leading sports. And in this case, maybe their lead in their club own their dojang or their studio. So kudos to the coaches and the competitors, parents as well, who are out there filming, working hard to put a great product here at the Summer of Poomsae. So really great competition. Again, like Sherman said, congratulations to you 33 competitors. You're into the semifinals. We have more action coming, more episodes. So do not go anywhere. Stay with us. This is Jason and Sherman. We've been chopping it up. This is USA Taekwondo's Summer of Poomsae.